This is an ancient teachings whispered by sages, sealed in your DNA, waiting for remembrance. This is not just a book, it is a return, a reactivation. As you listen, your divine essence will rise, and the God within will awaken. Are you ready to remember who you truly are? Chapter 1. The Key of Divine Remembrance. There is a moment, an eternal moment, suspended beyond the memory of time when you forgot who you were, not the you that walks through daily life with a name and a story, but the original you, the formless essence behind the form. The infinite spark that once danced at the center of stars and whispered galaxies into existence. You were never born, not truly. You emerged from the stillness that precedes all things, a breath of divine light shaped by will and wonder. But the moment you entered this world, wrapped in skin and name and fear, a veil fell. The great forgetting began, and with it came the illusion that you were small, fragile, separate from the source that once pulsed through your being like music. You looked into the mirror and saw only flesh, never the symphony behind your eyes. But the sacred texts, the real ones, not written by hand but etched into the soul of the universe, have always said the same thing. You are not a creation. You are the creator, asleep in your own dream, waiting to awaken. The first sacred key is remembrance. Not learning, not discovering, remembering. For what you are can never be taught. It can only be recalled, like an old song echoing through the corridors of your heart, faint at first, but growing louder with every step you take inward. And what is this remembrance, if not the return of light into your being? The kind of light that does not blind, but reveals. The light that shows you not the world as it appears, but the world as it truly is. A mirror, a canvas, a dream that responds to the dreamer. This world is not a prison. It is a playground for gods who have forgotten they are divine. But to play, to truly shape the reality that surrounds you, you must wake up. You must remember that the voice in your head is not you, that the pain you carry is not yours to keep, and that the limitations you've accepted are lies dressed as truths. Every moment of suffering, every sense of being trapped, is a signal not that you are weak, but that your divine self is calling, knocking at the door of your mind, whispering, "Come home." And home is not a place, it is a state of consciousness, a frequency, a vibration that resonates with the eternal. The sages of old, the mystics and initiates, all spoke of this return. They called it gnosis, they called it samadhi, they called it Christ consciousness, the Atman, the Tao. But all of them pointed to the same truth, that there is something within you which has never been touched by time nor tainted by the world, something eternal. And when you touch it, even for a breath, you remember that you are not separate from the source, you are the source expressing itself as you. But how did we forget? How did beings of such majesty come to believe we are broken? The answer is not found in punishment or sin or karma, it is found in experience. You came here to experience separation not because it is true, but because the journey back to truth is how the soul expands. The forgetting was part of the divine plan, and your remembrance is the completion of that cycle. You are not lost, you are looping through the spiral of becoming, returning to yourself through layers of illusion, awakening one veil at a time. There are signs along the way. Moments when the illusion cracks and light slips through. A song that moves you to tears. A sunrise that makes you fall silent. The feeling of déjà vu. The sudden certainty that there is more to life than this daily routine. These are echoes, fragments of your divine memory. The world is not what it seems. The sky is not blue because it is. It is blue because your eyes remember it that way. Nothing is as solid as it appears. Matter is not fixed, it is shaped by observation, by thought, by belief. And when you realize this not with your intellect, but with your soul, you begin to awaken the God within. You begin to speak with new authority, not the loud kind, but the quiet kind, the kind that does not beg or plead, but simply knows. You begin to walk differently, no longer asking for permission to exist. You begin to look into the mirror and recognize yourself not as a victim of life, but as its author. This is not arrogance. This is sacred humility, the understanding that what animates the stars also animates you. The light of the cosmos burns behind your eyes. The breath that keeps you alive is the same breath that formed the world. You are not merely a human seeking spiritual experiences. You are spirit having a human experience. And this shift, this return to divine remembrances, the first and most crucial key. For without it, no other wisdom can take root. You must first remember you are divine before you can live divinely. You must first shed the skin of the lie before you can embody the truth. And the truth is this: you are not broken, you are not missing anything, you are not waiting for some distant blessing to fall upon you. You are the blessing, you are the miracle. You are the one you've been waiting for. The ancient ones knew this. They left behind symbols, temples, stories, all pointing to this hidden knowledge. But they did not mean for the truth to stay hidden. The veils were only meant to be temporary. The secrets were only secret because the world was not ready. But now, the veils are thinning. The secrets are being spoken in the open. And those with ears to hear, those who are ready, can finally see the divine has always lived within them. The first key is remembrance. And when you hold it, even for a moment, you will know beyond doubt that everything changes not because the world changes, but because you do. And as you remember, the God within you stirs from slumber and begins to rise. To remember is not enough. Remembrance is the key. But a key unused remains only a symbol. It is the turning of the key, the opening of the inner chamber, that activates the God within. You are the temple. You are the altar. You are the flame that has never gone out. But to awaken the flame is a choice, sacred act, one that begins not with grandeur, but with attention, sacred attention. To activate the divine spark is to take the memory of your divinity and breathe life into it. It is to treat your every thought, every movement, every breath as holy. It is to stop waiting for permission from the world and start commanding your inner universe. Activation begins in stillness. For how can you command the winds of the cosmos if your mind is a storm? Be still. Close your eyes. Listen not to the noise of the world, but to the hum beneath it. That hum, that vibration, is your original frequency, the sound of your soul before the world began to shape it. Do not chase it. Do not beg it to speak. It is always speaking. The divine spark does not shout. It does not panic. It does not rush. It remembers. It waits for you to catch up. And when you finally sit in silence long enough to hear it, it begins to move. The divine spark moves not through effort, but through alignment. You cannot force the eternal. You can only allow it. When your thoughts align with love, when your heart aligns with truth, when your actions align with purpose, you become the living expression of divinity. You do not need to do great things to awaken. You need only do ordinary things with great presence. When you walk with awareness, speak with reverence, breathe with gratitude, you begin to create the inner environment where the spark can ignite. And once ignited, the divine spark transforms you. You begin to feel the difference between your thoughts and the truth, between your wounds and your wisdom. You begin to speak differently, not to impress, but to express the light flowing through you. You begin to trust your intuition, not because it is always logical, but because it is always aligned. The spark begins to spread, first in whispers, then in waves. The cells of your body begin to glow with purpose. Your voice becomes a tuning fork for others. Your presence becomes medicine. Not because you are trying, but because you are finally allowing yourself to be who you truly are. The divine spark awakens when you accept yourself fully, not as the person you wish to become, but as the divine being you already are. There is nothing more powerful than acceptance. It is the womb of transformation. When you accept that the divine lives within you, you stop chasing and start creating. You stop yearning and start embodying. You stop fearing and start remembering. You were never meant to find God. You were meant to realize you are God, clothed in the form of a human, walking through a world that responds to your every vibration. The spark cannot be given to you. It is not bestowed by teachers or texts or gurus. It is already within you, waiting to be acknowledged. No one can awaken it for you, but everyone who remembers can reflect it back to you, and that is the purpose of sacred teachings. Not to give you something new, but to awaken what is ancient and eternal within. Every mantra, every ritual, every sacred text is a mirror pointing you not toward salvation, but toward recognition. The spark within you is not an idea, it is reality. When you stop doubting it, it begins to burn. What you believe, you become. The ancient ones knew this. They encoded their wisdom in myth and parable, hiding keys in the open, trusting that the worthy would see through the veil. They understood that the divine spark could not be lit by force, it had to be remembered, respected, and revered. That is why they bowed, not to gods in the sky, but to the fire within. That is why they meditated for hours, not to escape the world, but to enter it fully with the eyes of spirit open. That is why they honored silence, because in silence, the voice of God within can be heard. To activate the spark is to say yes to your highest self, yes to truth, yes to power, yes to sovereignty. It is not about escaping your humanity, it is about divinizing it. It is about remembering that your laughter is holy, your tears are sacred, your desires are divine impulses guiding you toward your purpose. You are not here to deny your experience. You are here to transmute it, to take the raw material of life and shape it into something beautiful, something radiant, something that reflects the source that lives in you. The moment you decide to activate the divine spark, everything changes. The universe begins to respond differently. Synchronicities increase. Coincidences become guidance. Time bends, energy shifts. Why? Because you are no longer asleep in the dream. You are lucid, conscious, awake. And when a creator becomes conscious, creation itself takes notice. Doors open, paths reveal themselves. Obstacles dissolve, not because they vanish, but because your perception of them changes, and perception is everything. To live from the divine spark is not to live without challenge. It is to meet every challenge with the knowing that you are infinite, that no matter what falls apart, you cannot be broken, that your essence is untouched, eternal, unstoppable, that you are the fire and the flame, that you are the ocean and the wave, that you are the cosmos and the breath. You do not need anyone's permission to activate the God within. You only need your own. Say it now, not as a hope, but as a command. I awaken the divine spark within me. I am ready. I am willing. I am divine. Say it again, louder in your spirit. I remember. I align. I ignite. Watch what happens. Let this be your new foundation. Let this spark become the compass by which you navigate every decision. Let it be the flame that guides your way through uncertainty. Let it be the fire that burns away illusion. And let it be the light that reminds others of their own. You are no longer a seeker. You are a revealer of the divine through the sacred act of being fully, fearlessly yourself. And from this place of remembrance, from this sacred fire lit within, you are now ready to receive the next key. Chapter 2. The key of inner vision. Close your eyes to see. That is the paradox of the awakened soul. The world has taught you to rely on sight to worship what is visible, to believe only what can be touched, weighed, measured. But there is a deeper vision within you, a sacred eye that does not look outward, it perceives inward. It does not scan for surfaces, it reveals essence. And when it opens, the world is no longer ordinary. It is not flat nor fixed. It is alive, symbolic, reflective. Everything speaks, everything teaches. Everything is whispering secrets to the one who has learned to see with the soul. This key, the key of inner visionis, the gift of the seer, the mystic, the awakened creator. It is not about fortune-telling or prophecy. It is about perception. It is about the ability to see truth hidden beneath illusion, to feel the current beneath the wave, to decode the symbols that surround you. To activate this sacred key is to remember that nothing in your life is random. The people you meet, the emotions you feel, the dreams you dream, each one is a mirror, a guide, a message from the universe tailored just for you. But how can you read the signs if you only look with your physical eyes? Your physical eyes show you form, separation, contrast. Your inner vision reveals connection, essence, energy. To see with inner vision is to stand in front of a tree and feel its soul, its wisdom, its rootedness, and to know that you are not separate from it. It is to look into the eyes of a stranger and recognize a soul you have known for eons. It is to feel the symbolic meaning of a bird landing on your windowsill, or a song playing in the exact moment you needed to hear it. The inner eye, the third eye, the ancient seers called itis, not a mystical organ buried in the brain. It is a state of consciousness. It is a remembrance, a lens through which you view the world as a divine orchestration, not a series of accidents. When your inner vision is dim, life seems mechanical. When it awakens, everything becomes magical. And this magic is not fantasy, it is reality. Finally seen in its totality, the dreamer wakes and realizes, it was never just a tree. It was a teacher. It was never just a coincidence. It was a calling. This is the gift of the second sacred key, the ability to walk through the world with your soul leading the way, to see the greater pattern unfolding through every moment, to trust that behind every delay is divine timing, that behind every ending is sacred redirection, that every rejection is protection from something not aligned with your highest path. When your inner vision opens, you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and begin asking, "What is this trying to show me?" That one question changes everything. And yet inner vision is not passive. It is not daydreaming or spiritual fantasy. It is a sharp, clear, disciplined awareness. The ancient initiates trained for years in silence, learning to see beyond illusion. They walked through fire, darkness, confusion, not to escape life, but to sharpen their sight. They were not gifted with vision, they earned it through presence. They learned to feel truth in the body, to read energy like a book, to understand that everything carries frequency, and that frequency is never wrong. You have felt this before, that sense of knowing without knowing how you know, a subtle pull towards someone you've never met, a sudden insight that turns out to be prophetic, an image in your mind that later becomes reality. These are not accidents. These are flashes of inner vision, your higher self speaking through the fog of mental noise. And the more you trust these signals, the louder they become. But if you doubt them, ignore them, brush them off as coincidence, the voice fades. Not because it disappears, but because you no longer listen. The world has taught you to dismiss your inner knowing, to question your intuition, to silence your subtle senses in favor of logic and consensus. But the sacred path calls you to reclaim your sight, to see what others cannot see, because you are no longer bound to the ordinary. You are not here to survive. You are here to awaken. You are here to walk between worlds with eyes wide open, decoding the language of symbols and signs the universe has always been speaking. And here is the truth the ancient ones knew. Vision precedes manifestation. What you see within becomes what you create without. If you see limitation, you create within limitation. If you see beauty, opportunity, divine order, you shape reality accordingly. Your inner vision is the womb of your external world. If your vision is blurred by fear, the world becomes a mirror of chaos. If your vision is clear with trust, love, and power, then life reflects that clarity back to you. This is not a metaphor, it is a law. Begin to practice now, not later, not when you're perfect. Now. Wherever you are, close your eyes. Place your awareness in the center of your forehead, not as a physical point, but as a gateway. Breathe into it. Let the breath be gentle. Let your body soften. Begin to feel into the energy of your life right now, not the facts, but the meaning. What is this moment trying to show you? What is your body trying to teach you? What dream is recurring? What pattern is repeating? Begin to see with your spirit. Do not force images. Allow them to rise like mist from a sacred lake. Your inner vision sharpens with stillness, with journaling, with dream work, with symbol reading, with nature, with solitude, with the quiet presence of truth. Every time you honor a hunch, trust an instinct, or follow a subtle nudge, you are strengthening your sight. Every time you turn inward instead of outward for answers, your inner eye awakens more fully. Every time you walk away from something that feels wrong, even when it looks right, you are proving that you see from a higher place. This is not just a practice, it is a lifestyle. To walk by inner vision is to live as an oracle in human form, not predicting the future, but reading the present with divine eyes. And the present is always speaking. The wind, the shadows, the ache in your chest, the conversation you overheard, the feeling you can't shake. It's all data, all guidance, all part of a vast sacred language designed just for you. You are not blind. You are not broken. You are not lost. You simply forgot that you could see. Now you remember, and now you begin. There comes a moment in every seeker's journey when the physical world begins to dim not with darkness, but with the fading of illusion. The edges blur, and something stirs beneath the veil. A feeling, a flicker, a knowing that what the eyes have shown you all your life has only been a shadow of the real. And in that space, the soul leans forward. It does not speak in language. It does not arrive with trumpets or light. It reveals. It opens its ancient eye, the eye that has watched lifetimes pass and lifetimes begin. And through this eye, the world is reborn. To open the eye of the soul is not to gain new sight, but to remove the dust from what has always been there. It is not to gain a mystical power, but to reclaim your natural state. The eye of the soul sees not as a camera or a lens. It sees through things. It pierces illusion, sees symbols in situations, understands energy behind form. When open, it allows you to walk among the world of men and yet interpret the world of gods. To be grounded in the physical and yet directed by the invisible. The great sages, the ancient mystics, the awakened initiates, they all trained not to believe what their eyes told them, but to see with their entire being. Their decisions were made not from logic alone, but from alignment with the unseen. They interpreted events not by cause and effect, but by vibration and timing. When someone entered their presence, they did not ask questions. They felt answers. They didn't search for signs, they read them everywhere. Because they knew the universe is always speaking, always arranging symbols in patterns that only the awakened can interpret. You have seen these symbols, even if you did not recognize them. The recurring number on the clock. The dream you've had 3 times in 3 different ways. The stranger who shows up just when you were thinking of a specific memory. the moment of perfect timing that feels too precise to be chance. These are not coincidences. They are echoes from your soul's higher plane, sent down to guide you through the fog of density. Each one is a message, a signal, a reflection asking not to be analyzed, but understood. To understand them, you must awaken the inner senses, the sacred sight beyond the physical. The soul's eye opens when the mind quiets and the heart speaks. It requires stillness, not silence, but presence. It does not open in noise, nor in frenzy. It opens in those quiet moments where time suspends and the breath slows. When your awareness shifts from the surface of life to the depth of life. When you no longer look at things, but into them. You begin to understand that nothing is as it seems. The person who challenges you the most may be your greatest spiritual ally. The job you lost may be the door to the path your soul begged you to walk. The illness you feared may have come to purge something you no longer needed. But if you look with only surface vision, you'll see pain where there is purification. You'll see loss where there is liberation. You'll see chaos where there is divine choreography. That is why inner vision must be opened, not to change the world, but to understand it correctly. Let us now return to the ancient temple of your inner eye. Visualize it now. Close your eyes and imagine a corridor made of crystal and silence. You walk barefoot upon a floor that glows with blue light. With each step, distractions fall away. The mental noise dissolves. The worries melt. You reach a chambera circular dome where a glowing orb hovers at the center. This is your soul's eye. Timeless, aware, awake. You place your hand over your heart and breathe slowly. As your breath deepens, the orb begins to pulse. With each inhale, light spreads from it. With each exhale, illusion fades. Stay in this vision. Notice what images arise. Let your intuition speak. You may see symbols, memories, colors, places. Don't judge them. Don't interpret with intellect. Let them reveal themselves. Let them speak in the way the universe always speaks, softly but clearly. This is a sacred meeting. You are no longer asking your mind for answers. You are receiving truth from the seat of your eternal self. The soul knows. It always has. The inner eye only reminds you of that knowing. Now return slowly. Back to the body. Back to the breath. But take with you the residue of vision. The softness. The stillness. The sight that doesn't fade just because your eyes are open again. You are beginning to live with awakened perception, and this changes everything. You will begin to walk into rooms and feel the energy before the words are spoken. You will begin to meet people and feel their story before it is shared. You will begin to watch events unfold and know their meaning before others understand what has happened. Not because you are special, but because you are awake. And now, a sacred reminder. Inner vision is not for entertainment. It is for alignment. It is not to impress others. It is to guide yourself. The soul's sight is not about knowing the future. It is about navigating the present in resonance with your highest self. When the inner eye is open, you live deliberately, not reactively. You speak from depth, not habit. You choose what aligns, not what distracts. You move when the wind speaks, not when the crowd shouts. You follow truth, not trend. And this is power. Quiet power. The power of the soul-led life. There will be days when your vision dims, when doubt clouds your perception. That is not failure. It is refinement. Every veil that falls reveals a deeper truth. Every misstep is a step toward mastery. Every contrast sharpens your clarity. The inner eye grows in power through experience, through trust, through devotion. Keep returning to it. Keep honoring it. Keep trusting it. Even when the world cannot see what you see, especially then. Because you are not here to conform. You are here to illuminate. You are not here to survive. You are here to see. And what you see, you will shape. What you perceive, you will create. What you focus on, you will magnify. So open the eye, keep it open. Let your days be painted with insight. Let your nights be guided by dream. Let your decisions come from vision, not fear. And let the world become your mirror, not of who you were told to be, but of who you truly are. The key of inner vision is now in your hand. Use it well. Chapter 3. The key of vibrational alignment. Everything in this universe, seen or unseen, dances to the rhythm of vibration. Beneath the form of all things, stone and star, thought and thunder, breath and silence, there is a current, a pulse, a hum that cannot be heard with the ears, but felt in the bones of your soul. This is not metaphor, it is truth. You are not solid, you are not fixed, you are not simply flesh and logic. You are frequency. You are made of rhythm, of patterns, of waves of energy, moving faster than light, yet held in the sacred shape of a body. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. And what you are is the frequency you hold. When ancient masters spoke of raising your vibration, they weren't prescribing a trend, they were reminding you of your nature. The energy you emit, your dominant emotion, thought, belief, becomes the magnet that shapes your experience. If you live in a field of fear, you will find reasons to be afraid. If you carry resentment, the world will echo it back in countless reflections. If you embody joy, miracles will bloom in places you once called barren. The law is simple. The vibration you live on creates the reality you stand in. To understand this is to reclaim your power, not in a shallow, self-affirming way, but in a soul-altering way. You begin to realize that you are not at the mercy of outer conditions. You are the origin of them. Every event, every interaction, every recurring pattern is a mirror, reflecting your inner frequency into form. This is not to blame, it is to empower. For when you stop asking the world to change and begin changing your vibration, the world has no choice but to respond. Let us slow down now. Breathe, feel, listen. What is the dominant vibration you have been carrying today? Not what you intended to feel, but what you've actually been emitting. Is it peace or pressure, hope or hesitation, gratitude or grasping? There is no shame in your answer, only awareness. Because once you become aware of your energetic state, you become free to shift it. And that is the beginning of mastery. Let us speak of the heart now, for it is the command center of your vibrational field. The heart is not just a muscle, it is a transmitter. It sends out waves measurable by science, extending far beyond the body, influencing everything and everyone around you. And when you feel deeply, truly, not performatively, the field expands. When you feel gratitude, love, appreciation, your frequency harmonizes with the natural flow of the cosmos. You become like a river flowing downstream, aligned, effortless, supported. You don't have to fight for your desires when you're vibrating in harmony with them. You only fight when you're in resistance, when your frequency is low but your dreams are high. That gap creates tension. That misalignment is the source of delay, of stagnation, of longing without arrival. But once you tune your inner frequency to match the vibration of what you seek, manifestation becomes inevitable. It does not happen through force, but through frequency. Just as a radio does not create the music, but receives it once tuned to the correct signal, you receive the reality that matches the signal you become. You may wonder, how do I change my frequency? And the answer, beloved, is both simple and sacred. You change it by choosing thoughts that elevate you, by tending to your emotional state with the gentleness of a gardener, by breathing through tension and returning to stillness. You change your frequency by cultivating joy, not as a performance, but as a devotion. Not because everything is perfect, but because your soul remembers its natural state. Each morning, before the world floods in, sit in stillness. Ask yourself, what frequency do I choose to carry today? Then feel it, choose it, anchor it in your breath, in your spine, in your presence. Walk through your day as if your vibration is the offering you give to the world, because it is. And each evening, reflect not on what happened to you, but what you transmitted. What did your energy create? What did it attract? What did it repel? What did it harmonize with? This practice is not about control. It is about coherence. Coherence between your inner self and your outer experience. When your energy is coherent, when your heart, your mind, and your body are in alignment, life flows. You meet the right people, you land in the right places. You make the right turns without thinking. It feels like magic, but it is alignment. It is vibration guiding you with perfect timing. Let us consider now a parable passed down through the mystic schools of old. A seeker once approached a wise elder, asking, "Why is it that I speak my desires, but they do not come?" The elder said nothing. Instead, she struck a singing bowl, letting the sound ripple into silence. "Do you hear the tone?" she asked. The seeker nodded. "Now sing it," she said. The seeker tried, but his voice wavered. The elder struck the bowl again. The tone rang true, clear, unwavering. "Until you become the tone," she said, "you cannot call forth the echo." This is the essence of vibrational mastery. You must become the tone, not simply speak it, not hope for it, but live it, breathe it, embody it. You must become the frequency of love if you wish to draw love. You must embody abundance if you wish to attract wealth. You must hold the vibration of peace if you desire a life of ease. There is no other way. The universe does not respond to your words, it responds to your vibration. This sacred key, the key of vibrational alignment, will reshape your reality when practiced with presence. Begin now. Pause. Breathe deeply. Inhale a frequency you choose, perhaps joy, or clarity, or freedom. Exhale any dissonance. Do it again, slowly, with intention. You are tuning the instrument of your being. You are becoming the tone. Remember, this is not a momentary act. It is a lifestyle. It is a sacred responsibility. Because as your frequency rises, it does not rise alone. It uplifts the room, the home, the lineage, the planet. Each high-vibration soul becomes a lighthouse, calling others home. You are that lighthouse. Shine. There exists within you a sacred instrument, a tuning fork that vibrates in perfect harmony with the frequency of the cosmos. This inner fork, subtle yet real, is your bridge to the infinite. When struck with awareness, it aligns you to the very song of the universe, the rhythm of the stars, the pulse of the divine. The ancient sages did not guess at this. They knew. They tuned their minds, bodies, and spirits to this celestial harmony, and in doing so, they moved effortlessly through reality, shaping it with thought, bending it with feeling, and manifesting it with being. The tuning fork is not external. It does not lie in a temple or sacred mountain. It lives within the center of your being, where silence meets stillness. Every moment of stillness you allow, every breath you take in presence, strikes that fork. When you listen deeply, you can feel it, vibrating behind your thoughts, resonating in your chest, humming in your soul. That hum is the frequency of alignment, of unity, of oneness with Source. To live in tune is not merely spiritual, it is practical, powerful, and magnetic. Let us remember, The universe is not chaos, it is orchestra. And everything you see, from the blooming of a flower to the movement of galaxies, unfolds in accordance with vibrational law. What appears random is rhythm. What appears sudden has been pulsing beneath the surface. And you, dear soul, are not separate from this rhythm. You are a note in the eternal composition. And when you are in tune with your divine tone, life harmonizes around you. Things click, doors open, coincidences appear. Not because you're lucky, but because you're tuned. Think of the moments in your life when things just flowed, when you were lost in creation, when time dissolved and synchronicities multiplied. When people, places, and opportunities came as if summoned by your joy. These were not accidents. You were vibrating clearly. You were the struck chord. You were the resonance. The tuning fork was vibrating in purity, and life answered with a standing ovation. Now consider the other side, the days of dissonance, the moments of discord, the heavy air, the stagnant timing, the blocks that would not budge. These too follow law. When the fork within you falls out of tune, when fear muffles its tone, when resentment warps its pitch, when doubt clouds its song, you no longer vibrate in harmony with the field of creation. Manifestation becomes resistance. Effort replaces flow. Delay replaces delight. But here lies your power. The fork can always be retuned. Close your eyes now. Inhale slowly. Feel your breath enter not just your lungs, but your soul. And as you exhale, imagine releasing a layer of static. Do it again. Breathe. Release. With each breath, you come back into tune. With each moment of stillness, your fork rings truer. And in this simple sacred act, the entire universe listens. For when even one soul vibrates in truth, it lifts the field for all. Vibrational alignment is not perfection. It is presence. It is not about always feeling good. It is about being true. There will be days of grief, of challenge, of anger. These are not failures of frequency. They are invitations to alchemize, to feel deeply, to transmute consciously, to return home. The true master does not deny low vibrations. They transform them. They feel their sorrow and strike the tuning fork in the center of it. And even there, beauty emerges, harmony returns. The mystics of old spoke of this as resonant transmutation. The ability to feel anything, and through love, allow that feeling to evolve into something higher. Jealousy into gratitude, grief into compassion, fear into clarity. The fork is struck not only in stillness, but in courage, in feeling what is real, and choosing to bring it into coherence. Let us tell a sacred tale. There once was a harpist named Elias who lived at the edge of a forgotten forest. Every morning he would sit beneath an ancient cedar tree and play. His melodies would carry through the valley, calming animals, brightening crops, and even shifting the weather. When asked about his power, Elias replied, "I do not create the song. I simply listen. I let the earth tune me, then I become the song." One day, a great storm came, and the harpist's strings snapped. His music ceased. Villagers grew afraid. Crops wilted. The animals retreated. But Elias did not despair. He sat, even in silence. He listened, even in the storm. He retuned his harp not with haste, but with reverence. When he finally strummed again, the music was more beautiful than ever, for now it contained both the storm and the stillness. It was whole. This is your journey. The inner tuning fork is your harp. Life may unstring you at times, but you can always retune. And when you do, your music becomes richer, more complex, more full, more divine. Begin then a sacred practice. Each morning upon waking, Place your hand on your heart and ask, what vibration will I live from today? Don't answer with your mind. Listen with your body. Then let that feeling rise. If it is love, feel it. If it is joy, dance with it. If it is peace, let it fill the room. Let this tone be your compass. Let it lead your words, your choices, your presence. And when the day ends, return to your breath and ask, did I stay in tune? Again, no judgment, only awareness. Awareness is the first note of every symphony. You are not here to force your life into shape. You are here to resonate with the life already waiting for you. You are not meant to chase your dreams. You are meant to match their frequency and meet them in the field of alignment. The tuning fork of the universe is always vibrating. The question is, will you strike your own in harmony? Let us end this teaching with a final breath. Inhale, and imagine your entire being vibrating like a tuning fork struck by the hand of the divine. Exhale, and imagine your frequency expanding into the room, the world, the cosmos. Feel it ripple outward. You are not separate from the universe. You are the vibration of it, made manifest. Remember this: when you are in tune, you do not find the path finds you. Chapter 4: The Key of Sacred Visualization. In the silence between breaths, in the quiet that exists behind the eyes, there is a sacred space, a theater of creation where light dances before form, where vision is born before the world takes shape. This is the inner sanctuary of sacred visualization, not mere imagination, not idle fantasy, but the divine act of co-creation through conscious seeing. To visualize is to awaken the third eye of the soul. To see with intention is to summon worlds. It is in this space, this inner eye, that the God within begins to speak. The ancients called this power Divina Imaginatio, the divine imagination. Not the fleeting images of a restless mind, but the sacred living blueprints of spirit, etched in clarity, infused with emotion, and sealed by certainty. When a soul holds an image with unwavering conviction, the universe bends toward it like iron to a magnet. Thought becomes form, energy condenses. What once existed in ether moves into matter. This is no metaphor, this is law. All of creation is visualized into existence. The mountain was once imagined. The temple was once envisioned. The great pyramids of Egypt were once only sacred sketches in the minds of the ancient builders. Before the architect draws, before the sculptor chisels, before the healer touches, the vision comes first. So it is with your life. Before you can live it, you must see it. Before the path opens beneath your feet, it must be dreamed behind your eyes. To hold a vision is not simply to see. It is to believe without evidence, to feel without form, to create without doubt. Your imagination is the womb of the universe. What you plant there with love, nurtured with clarity and emotion, begins to gestate in the invisible realms. And as surely as day follows night, the birth will come, often suddenly, often quietly, but always perfectly on time. Think back to a moment when you longed for something deeply, a dream, a hope, a possibility. And then, somehow, some way, it arrived. It took form. That form was no accident. That was your visualization made visible, the child of your focus, the result of your sacred seeing. Yet many fail to visualize. Why? Because they believe only in what they see. They wait for external proof before they commit to inner belief. But this is not the way. Visualization requires the opposite. The great reversal. You must believe first, then the evidence appears, not the other way around. This is the essence of faith. Not blind faith, but creative faith. A faith that knows the canvas is blank only for a moment. A faith that dares to paint the first stroke, knowing that more will come. When you close your eyes and see your desires with vivid clarity, you are not escaping reality, you are building it. Let us pause now, just for a moment. Close your eyes, wherever you are. Breathe deeply. And imagine standing in the version of your life that delights your soul, the home that feels like sanctuary, the relationships that flow with love, the work that sings with purpose, the body that radiates vitality. See it clearly. Not as a vague hope, but as a real place, a real moment. Breathe in its colors. Feel the air there. Walk through it. And now, more importantly, feel the feeling of being there. Gratitude, joy, peace, power. This feeling is the signature of creation. When you can hold this image and these emotions for just a few minutes a day, consistently, with love, you accelerate the arrival of your vision. You cut through time, you summon quantum bridges. What once seemed far becomes near. What once felt impossible begins to whisper, "I'm on my way." The ancients practiced this daily. The temples of Isis in Egypt had chambers dedicated to dream seeing. In Tibet, the lamas would visualize full mandalas, holding the images for hours without movement. In Greece, philosophers like Pythagoras taught students to see their ideal lives in waking meditation. They knew visualization is not New Age. It is ancient, eternal, divine. There once lived a monk named Awaken, who spent each morning in silence by a still lake. But he did not simply meditate. He visualized his day before it began. He saw himself moving with grace, speaking with kindness, receiving unexpected blessings. And though he lived alone, far from the bustle of cities, travelers would come from across the land just to meet him. They would say, "Your presence feels like a dream come true." And Awaken would smile, because to him, it was. He had already seen it all before it arrived. You have this same gift. It is not limited to mystics or saints. It is your birthright. It requires only one thing: your attention. Start with one desire, not 20, not 10, one. Make it sacred, make it meaningful. Close your eyes each day for 5 minutes and see it, then feel it, not someday, not maybe, but now, already, real. This one practice will change your life, not because you forced the world to obey, but because you invited it to align. And remember, visualization is not wishful thinking. It is not a fantasy to escape life. It is a frequency to shape it. When you visualize with purpose, you are broadcasting to the quantum field. You are issuing instructions to the invisible. You are setting the blueprint into motion. And as you hold the image and match its feeling and release your doubt, the universe replies, not with noise, but with unfolding, subtle, serene, certain. So let your inner eye become the architect. Let your imagination become the altar. Let your breath become the bridge. And let your life become the temple, where all visions are made flesh. You were never meant to stumble in darkness. You were meant to see the light and walk toward it. There is a secret language the universe speaks, older than any tongue, older even than the breath of man. It is the language of light and form. It is not spoken in syllables, but seen in symbols, felt in frequencies, and summoned by vision. This is the sacred alphabet of creation, the radiant syntax through which thought crystallizes into experience. And visualization, pure and true, is how you begin to speak it fluently. When you visualize with clarity, you speak to the invisible in its own dialect. You draw upon the luminous threads that weave reality itself. You move beyond passive dreaming and into divine authorship. Your inner eye becomes a scribe of sacred architecture, tracing visions that soon congeal into substance. Everything begins as light, raw, formless, radiant potential. And that light seeks form through attention, intention, and frequency. Sacred visualization is the ritual that marries light to form, ether to earth, the imagined to the real. The greater the clarity, the purer the signal. The stronger the emotion, the faster the manifestation. There once lived a weaver in the village of Zarin, high in the emerald hills of an ancient land. She was no ordinary artisan. Each morning, before lifting her loom, she would close her eyes and see the tapestry she intended to create, not just its colors or shapes, but its essence, its vibration. She would whisper to herself, "Let the threads remember." And then, as if guided by invisible hands, she would begin. Her weavings were said to carry healing, to bless the homes they entered, to speak to the soul in ways words never could. She had mastered the language of light and form, not with study, but with devotion to vision. You too are weaving. Every day, with every thought and image you hold, you are threading patterns into the fabric of your reality. The question is, are you weaving consciously? Or letting random visions fill your loom? Visualization is not about control, it's about collaboration. You do not force the universe into shape, you offer it form. You do not command reality, you co-create it. This is why sacred visualization must come from the heart, not just the mind. The mind imagines, the heart empowers. The mind draws the blueprint, the heart breathes life into it. Emotion is the ink of the soul's pen. When you see your vision and feel nothing, you speak in faint whispers. But when you see and feel, as if it is already done, then your voice becomes thunder. Then the heavens hear you. But beware, visualization cannot be vague. The universe responds best to the specific, not the abstract. Don't just visualize wealth. Visualize holding the keys to a home that feels like peace. See yourself receiving the message that your book changed a life. Hear the laughter of the family you've always dreamed of. Smell the garden. Touch the fabric of your new reality. Make it alive in your inner world. And once you see it clearly, offer it to the universe with no resistance. Do not worry about the how. The how is the domain of the divine intelligence that orchestrates all things. Your only task is to hold the vision, feed it with gratitude, and let go of urgency. In a monastery hidden in the snows of the eastern mountains, the monks do not ask for their prayers to be answered. They visualize as if they already have been. They smile, they bow. They give thanks in advance, and then they go about their work in serenity. For they know, once the image is alive in the heart, the universe must answer, the field must conform. This is the sacred art of becoming a living transmitter of reality, a tuning fork set to the frequency of fulfillment. When you vibrate at the frequency of your desired vision, life echoes back that same tone. You become the cause, reality becomes your chorus. Begin each day, then, with a ritual. It need not be long. 5 minutes of sacred visualization, held with feeling, is more powerful than hours of unfocused longing. See what you wish to see, and see it often. Morning, night, and even in the brief pauses of your day, in line at the market, walking beneath the trees, before sleep. Call it forth in secret, and soon the world will reflect it in full light. Write your visions, speak them aloud, draw them if you must. The more senses you involve, the more real they become. Speak as if they are already yours. Use present tense language. Not, I will have, but I have. Not, someday, but now. This is the grammar of the gods. And remember, not all visions arrive in expected packaging. Sometimes, the path to your dream is not a straight line, but a spiral. Sometimes, what seems like delay is divine preparation. Hold the vision anyway, especially when the world tempts you to doubt. That's when your faith is strongest. That's when your visualization becomes most potent, when it survives the fog. There once lived a musician who could not hear. Born into silence, He believed music was lost to him, but in his mind, he saw it. He saw notes as colors. He saw sound as waves in water. He visualized melodies as ripples of golden light moving through his chest, and one day, a harp was placed in his hands. Though deaf to the ears, he played what he saw in his heart. And the sound was so pure, so holy, that even birds stopped singing just to listen. His vision became his music, and the silence bowed before it. That is the power you hold. Not just to dream, but to dream with precision. Not just to imagine, but to create through sacred visioning. Your inner eye is not a toy, it is a divine tool, a mirror of the source, a window into worlds yet born. So rise each day and see what others do not. Dream in color, visualize in bold, feel your visions into reality, and walk the earth as one who sees not just what is, but what can be. You are not here to merely observe the world, you are here to shape it, with the brush of thought, with the paint of emotion, with the canvas of your soul. Visualize, bless, release, and watch the invisible become visible, again and again and again. Chapter 5. The Key of Emotional Transmutation. There is a sacred fire that lives within you, one not lit by matches nor born of the sun, but forged in the forge of emotion, in the furnace of feeling. It is the fire of transformation, and it does not consume, it transfigures. What the world calls negative emotions, pain, grief, anger, sorrow, are not enemies to be vanquished. They are raw fuel, ancient teachers, sacred signals. They are the unrefined elements of the soul's awakening, and when understood, embraced, and directed, they become holy instruments of power. The ancients knew this. In the hidden temples of Lemuria, initiates were not told to avoid pain, they were told to enter it, to feel it fully, to sit in its flame until the fear dissolved and the wisdom remained. They taught that emotion is not to be suppressed, nor to be blindly obeyed, but to be alchemized. It is energy in motion, and energy, when mastered, can move mountains. You have been told to hide your hurt, to smile through sorrow, to armor your soul. But the truth is this: your emotions are sacred messengers. Every wave of sadness is a doorway. Every sting of anger is a lantern. Every tear is a cleansing. Nothing in you is broken. Nothing in you is wrong. What you feel is valid. What you feel is holy. And yet, what you do with those emotions is the key. When you suppress, you bury treasure. When you explode, you scatter gold. But when you hold your emotion in sacred stillness, when you feel without judgment, when you breathe into the center of your pain with compassion, you begin the ancient art of emotional transmutation. You turn the heavy into light. You convert poison into medicine. You turn your inner lead into gold. Imagine now a young child, no more than 5, who loses their favorite toy. Their whole world crumbles. To them, the loss is monumental. The grief is real. They cry, they tremble, they collapse in your arms. But after they've felt it, after their sobs subside and their breath returns, they laugh again, they play again, they move on. Not because the pain wasn't real, but because they allowed themselves to feel it completely. They did not resist it. They became a vessel through which emotion could move, not a dam to block it. You once were that child. You still are. But life taught you to hold back, to fear your feelings, to carry them as burdens rather than let them wash through you. The key of emotional transmutation is your invitation to unlearn that fear. To feel is not weakness. To feel deeply is divine strength. The alchemist in you is waiting. So begin here. Begin by recognizing your emotions as sacred data, as cosmic energy dressed in human clothing. When grief comes, do not push it away. Bow to it. Ask, "What are you here to show me?" When rage bubbles, do not lash out or swallow it whole. Sit beside it like an old friend. Say, "What truth lies beneath your flame?" Your feelings are not punishments. They are prescriptions. Each one contains instructions, buried wisdom waiting to be heard. In the ancient kingdom of Saphira, there lived a healer named Talon. He was renowned across the land for turning sorrow into serenity, anger into insight, fear into faith. But Talon had no herbs, no oils, no potions. His only tool was presence. When a villager came to him with heartbreak, he would place his hand over their heart, look into their eyes, and simply say, "Let it rise." And the tears would come, the stories would spill, the pain would surface. And as it did, something would shift, the heaviness would lift, the shame would evaporate, and joy, soft, quiet joy, would take its place. It was not magic, it was alchemy. And Talon knew, you do not fix emotion, you free it. You are that healer now. And the one you must heal is yourself. To transmute emotion, you must first feel safe enough to feel. Create a sacred container. Light a candle. Sit in stillness. Place your hand on your body, wherever the emotion lives. And instead of resisting, give it permission. Whisper, "I allow you." Let your breath deepen. Let the feeling rise. It may feel sharp, it may feel endless, but it won't stay. It will pass like a storm, and in its wake, you will find clarity. The greatest transformations come not from denial, but from devotion to feeling. Anger can become motivation. Sorrow can become compassion. Guilt can become forgiveness. Fear can become courage. You are not meant to escape your emotions. You are meant to master them. This is the divine paradox. The only way out is through. Each emotion carries a frequency. When you suppress it, the frequency becomes stagnant, trapped energy that weighs you down. But when you transmute it, the frequency rises. You go from contraction to expansion, from darkness to light, and your entire reality shifts. In ancient Egypt, priests of the mystery schools would perform rites of purification not to become emotionless, but to become emotionally sovereign. They knew that unchecked emotions distorted manifestation, but transmuted emotions, they amplified it. They understood that a single vision, held with the fire of purified feeling, could move the heavens. This is why you must become intimate with your emotional self, not to control it, but to commune with it, to wield it like sacred fire. Try this now. Recall a moment that triggered deep emotion in you, one that still echoes within. Sit with it. Let it rise. Feel it again, not to relive it, but to reframe it. What did it teach you? What strength did it birth? What awareness did it sharpen? Write it down. Claim the gift within the grief. Extract the gold from the ashes. This is the practice of the divine inner alchemist. This is the work of gods in human form. Remember, you are not your pain, you are the space that holds it. You are not your sorrow, you are the witness to its wisdom. And once you learn to feel without drowning, to observe without judgment, to release without resistance, then you rise. Not in spite of your emotion, but because of it. Your feelings are not flaws, they are faculties. Let them lead you to your deepest truth. Your wounds are not mistakes, they are maps. Let them point you home. And your pain, your holy pain, is not your punishment. It is your portal. Step through. The ancients did not see emotion as random. To them, it was mathematics in motion, codes in vibration, intelligence cloaked in feeling. Emotion was a divine syntax. Each frequency a letter, each feeling a sentence, each sustained vibration a sacred spell shaping the very structure of the cosmos. They called them the emotion codes of creation, and to awaken the God within, one had to learn how to read, speak, and vibrate in these codes fluently. To manifest a world, one must become fluent in the emotional language of the divine. Just as an architect studies geometry and an artist masters color, the soul-seeking mastery must come to know the sacred palette of emotion. Every emotion you carry has a frequency. Joy hums in golden light. Gratitude shines in rose gold. Love vibrates at the speed of divine union. Peace rests in translucent blues, while inspiration crackles in white fire. These are not merely poetic metaphors, they are energetic realities. The universe is not responding to your thoughts alone, it is responding to the emotion beneath your thoughts. It is the vibrational signature of your feeling that shapes the fabric of your reality. To desire something without the corresponding emotional frequency is like trying to plant seeds without soil. You may think the right thoughts, visualize the perfect outcome, say the proper affirmations, but if the emotion does not match the vision, the creation is denied at the gate of frequency. The universe speaks emotion fluently. It reads the vibration encoded in your body, not just the declaration spoken from your mind. This is why those who feel rich often become rich. Why those who radiate love draw it like a magnet. Why those who live in the vibration of peace remain untouched by chaos. It is not coincidence. It is alignment. It is frequency resonance. And you, dear one, are an emitter of sacred codes. You broadcast with every heartbeat. You send signals with every sustained emotion. You are a walking temple of energetic messages. Let us pause and remember, you are not just here to feel. You are here to wield feeling, to generate emotion with intention, to invoke vibrational states as one would summon the gods. In ancient temples, initiates were trained to sit in stillness and generate frequencies at will, to create a vibration of deep peace so complete it would stop storms, to summon joy so radiant it would cause flowers to bloom out of season. These were not parlor tricks. These were natural abilities of emotionally initiated humans. You can do the same. You already have. Think back to a time when your excitement lifted a room, when your sadness silenced a crowd, when your love healed someone's pain without a word. That was you, transmitting. That was you, broadcasting sacred codes. That was you, operating as the God within. Now imagine if you could choose your codes deliberately, not reactively, not circumstantially, but as an act of pure creation. This is emotional sovereignty. This is divine authorship. So how do you begin? By becoming conscious of the frequency behind each feeling, by training your inner instrument to detect not only what you feel, but what vibration your emotion is broadcasting into the field. Ask yourself, is this a frequency I wish to multiply? Is this an emotion I wish to encode into the grid of my life? If not, pause, breathe, shift. Emotions are not permanent, they are programmable. Let's say you feel worry. Instead of spiraling in its grip, pause. Place your hand on your heart. Take a deep breath. Say aloud, "This frequency does not serve my creation. I now choose trust." Then activate the memory of a time you felt safe, felt supported. Let that memory awaken the corresponding emotion. Let the vibration rise like incense through your being. This is the practice of transmutation through choice. This is vibrational alchemy. Each sacred emotion code corresponds to a law of manifestation. Joy amplifies attraction. Gratitude accelerates reception. Love ensures sustainability. Peace stabilizes the form. And faith dissolves time between seed and bloom. These are your divine paints. These are the colors with which you paint your world. Do not wait for the world to give you the feeling. You generate it. And in doing so, the world must match it. This is not delusion. It is creation. Emotional transmutation is not about pretending. It is not about denying your pain. It is about transmuting it, honoring it, digesting it, then converting it into a higher octave of truth. Like turning grief into grace, fear into fuel, anger into clarity. You are not bypassing, you are upgrading. The ancient mystery schools taught this through sacred breathwork, visualization, and energetic embodiment. One exercise was known as the 7 breaths of gold. The initiate would sit in a circle of symbols, place both palms over their heart, and breathe in the feeling they wished to cultivate. Not the idea, not the thought, but the pure feeling. With each breath, the room would vibrate higher. The frequency would grow denser, until at last, the emotion became a field, tangible, thick, magnetic. This field would then ripple into their reality, bringing back to them everything matching its code. You can recreate this right today. Close your eyes. Choose the emotion you wish to encode into your field. Let's say it's abundance. Now recall a moment when you felt abundant, even if small. A full belly, a paid bill, a gift received. Let that memory light a fire within. Breathe into it, expand it, make it 3-dimensional. Now breathe 7 times, slow, deep, intentional. With each breath, amplify the feeling. Let it fill your body. Let it radiate out. Feel yourself becoming a transmitter. Know that this emotion is now your instruction to the universe. It will respond, not to your words, but to your codes. Emotion is the wand. Intention is the aim. Belief is the fuel. With all 3 aligned, you become unstoppable. There is one final teaching. Emotion, when held long enough, becomes identity, and identity becomes fate. This is why your dominant emotion matters far more than your occasional moods. You may feel joy one day, but if your dominant vibration is fear, that is what writes your story. You may visualize wealth, but if you live in the emotion of lack, that is what will anchor your outcomes. You must choose, deliberately, your home frequency. What is the emotion you want to live in? Not visit, not hope for. Live in. Name it now. Let it be your compass. Let it be your atmosphere. Let it be your new address in the quantum field. You are not chasing an outcome. You are becoming the frequency where that outcome already exists. And once you do, the world rearranges itself to meet you. Chapter 6. The Key of Celestial Timing. There is a rhythm that underlies all things, a hidden timing woven into the silence between moments, the hush beneath the heartbeat, the stillness before the rising sun. It is not man's time, but the time of the stars, the language of the cosmos. This is the celestial clockwork, and it ticks not in hours and minutes, but in alignments, vibrations, and divine appointments. To awaken the God within, you must remember how to listen, not with your ears, but with your soul, to the rhythm of universal timing. You were never meant to chase time, dear one. You were meant to flow with it, like water that senses the perfect moment to fall, like the blossom that waits for the exact day when the sunlight is just right to unfold. This key is not about speed. It is about synchronicity. It is about alignment. It is about surrendering the ego's calendar and stepping into the soul's orchestration. Because everything happens not when you push, but when you resonate. The universe is never late, nor is it early. It is precise. And its precision is governed by unseen laws that the ancients studied with reverence. In the temples of Kemet, initiates were taught not to ask, "When will it come?" but rather, "Who must I become for it to arrive?" The harvest does not arrive because the farmer demands it. It arrives because the soil was tilled, the seeds were planted, the seasons were honored, and the rains came in their sacred time. In this same way, your manifestations will not obey your impatience, but they will respond to your alignment with divine rhythm. There is a sacred pause between intention and manifestation. That pause is where the soul ripens. That pause is where the timing becomes sacred. It is not delay, it is preparation. And the wise do not resent it, they honor it. Because just as music would collapse without space between the notes, manifestation would implode without space between the wish and the fulfillment. You see, everything in the cosmos obeys timing. The moon does not apologize for its phases. The stars do not rush their movements across the night sky. The tides do not argue with gravity. They obey celestial law. They honor the divine design, and so must you. But modern man has forgotten this. He demands instant results. He worships urgency and confuses motion with power. He plants seeds and curses the soil when fruit does not appear the next morning. But the ancient ones knew better. They watched the skies. They moved with the seasons. They charted the movements of planets not to control them, but to understand when certain energies would ripen, when the time would be most fertile for love, for vision, for healing, for creation. There are moments in your life that were destined to happen, appointments set by your soul before you even drew your first breath, but they are only activated when you are in harmony with the rhythm of the stars, when your frequency is attuned to the signal, when you are still enough to hear the invitation. These are your divine timings. These are the gates of heaven, hidden in plain sight. You have felt them before. That moment when something long desired arrives without struggle. That phone call that changes everything. That idea that sparks a revolution in your mind. That sudden shift in your energy when everything begins to click. These are not random. These are celestial moments. These are appointments with your higher self, fulfilled in divine order. But when you act outside this rhythm, when you force or rush, you may still reach the destination, but it will be uphill, and the harvest will be bitter. It is not enough to do the right thing. You must do the right thing in the right time. That is the difference between divine manifestation and karmic consequence. So, how do you begin to live in celestial time? First, you slow down. You stop racing the clock and start aligning with the current. You begin to feel the seasons of your own soul. You honor the winter within you as much as you celebrate the summer. You trust the dormancy. You respect the stillness. You let your timing be sacred. Then, you listen. You listen to the whispers. You listen to the signs. You listen to the synchronicities that form a constellation of messages all around you. A song that repeats. A symbol that reappears. A phrase that someone says 3 times in a week. These are not coincidences. They are celestial signals. Pay attention. Your next chapter may be hidden inside them. And finally, you surrender. You release the idea that your desires must unfold on your schedule. You understand that the universe, in its infinite wisdom, is never working against you, but always through you, always for you, always guiding you into your perfect moment. The river does not rush to the ocean. It flows, and it arrives, not by force, but by surrender. There is a story of a monk who sat in meditation for many years waiting for enlightenment. One day, frustrated that nothing had come, he asked his teacher, "When will the light come to me?" The teacher smiled and replied, "The light does not come to you, it comes through you, but only when you stop chasing it like prey. Sit still and let it rise." You are that monk. The light is waiting to move through you, but only when you align, when you soften, when you trust. The stars are ancient teachers. Their movements hold codes. Their rhythm is law. When you align your inner world with that celestial rhythm, you stop being a beggar of time and become a master of its gates. This is what the key of celestial timing offers you: freedom from urgency, peace in the pause, trust in the wait, and joy in the unfolding. Let the moon teach you how to wane before you wax. Let the tides remind you that every outward motion is born from an inward pull. Let the constellations show you that everything arrives when the heavens align. And let your soul rest in the knowing that what is for you is already in motion, moving through the clockwork of the cosmos toward the perfect moment in the perfect way. The timing is sacred, and so are you. To master the rhythm of celestial timing, you must become fluent in a language the world has forgotten, the silent language of the universe. It does not speak in sentences, it does not shout in commands. It whispers through symbols, nudges, sensations, and strange synchronicities. And when your soul is quiet enough, present enough, humble enough, you begin to understand that everything is a sign. The bird that lands on your windowsill, the clock that shows the same numbers again and again, the stranger who speaks a phrase you were just thinking. These are the signs of divine timing. And once you recognize them, you'll see that nothing in your life has ever been random. The ancients knew this. The sages of the old temples did not consult calendars or clocks. They consulted the stars. They watched the migration of birds. They listened to the rustle of leaves. The shaman would lay stones and read the cracks that formed in fire. The oracle would dream and record the symbols sent to her by the gods. They understood that the cosmos was alive, an intelligence that responds to intention, but only in time, right time, sacred time. And sacred time is always hidden in plain sight. You may call them coincidences. You may dismiss them, but the signs persist. That's how the universe works. It will tap you lightly at first, and if you ignore the message, the knock will grow louder. A gut feeling you neglect becomes discomfort. Discomfort ignored becomes friction. Friction becomes chaos. Until at last, the message is too loud to ignore. But the wise do not wait for chaos. The wise learn to read the signals at the first whisper. So ask yourself, what signs have been appearing in your life lately? What patterns keep showing up? What words, numbers, symbols, or feelings have lingered in the background of your awareness? The universe is subtle but never silent. When you attune yourself to this frequency, when you begin to see every occurrence as part of the divine unfolding, you shift from being a victim of circumstance to a reader of prophecy. Let's begin here. The body. Your body is your most immediate compass. It knows before the mind does. That ache in your chest when you think of a certain path, that warmth in your belly when you meet someone new, that tingling in your hands when you speak about your dream, these are signs. Your body is an antenna. It's not random. It feels the shift before the mind makes sense of it. And then there are the numbers. The ancients revered numbers not as quantities but as codes, sacred geometry, divine patterns. When you begin to see repeating numbers, 111, 330, 444, 1212, this is not algorithmic chance. It is celestial timing knocking on your door. A portal is opening. Your awareness is expanding. You are being invited to step into a new alignment. Don't just notice the numbers. Ask what they are trying to tell you. You might find yourself repeatedly encountering the same animal. On your walk, in your dreams, in unexpected places, in ancient traditions, animals are messengers. A crow may mean transformation. A deer may signal gentleness. A lion, courage. A butterfly, rebirth. These messengers appear when you are ready to receive what they carry. Look deeper. Feel what they stir in you. And then there are dreams. Those forgotten dimensions where the subconscious speaks in metaphor and the soul whispers in symbols. Do not disregard them. Your soul is more honest in dreams than your mind is in waking life. Recurring dreams carry urgent messages. Unfamiliar places, flying, falling, meeting ancient beings. These are not just stories your brain is inventing. They are initiations, lessons, blueprints. Keep a journal by your bed. When you wake, write immediately. The signs will be there, waiting to be decoded. But signs are not just mystical, they show up in the ordinary. A delay that protects you from being in the wrong place. A plan falling through, only to lead you to something better. A chance encounter that changes your course. These are not setbacks, they are realignments, divine detours. Celestial choreography. You must stop resisting the rhythm and start dancing with it. When things don't go your way, ask, is this a block, or is it a blessing in disguise? If something feels off, it probably is. If something flows effortlessly, don't second guess it. Follow the flow. Your job is not to control the timing. Your job is to recognize when the gate opens and then walk through it with faith. But how do you recognize that moment? How do you know the gate is open? You feel it in your bones. You feel it in your chest. You feel it in your breath. There is a sudden clarity, a sudden knowing, like the clouds parting. The noise inside you stops. The doubt fades, even if only for a moment. The next step feels obvious. That's your cue. That's the sign. That's your divine appointment. And here is the deeper secret. The signs appear not to give you direction, but to confirm what you already know. The signs are not instructions, they are affirmations. They are reminders that your soul already knows the way, and the universe is simply saying, yes, that way, go. So walk with awareness. Live as if the entire universe is a mirror, showing you reflections of your inner state, because it is. Your outer world is your feedback loop. What you notice, you energize. What you focus on, you expand, and what you honor will guide you. Remember, divine timing does not mean delay. It means precision. It means that the version of you who receives the gift must be worthy of it, must be ready for it. The blessing arrives not when you want it, but when you're in full resonance with it, when you've shed the layers, when you've integrated the lessons, when you've matured into the frequency of the future you seek. Let go of the false belief that things must happen now. Let go of the panic that you're behind. You are not late. You are becoming. And when the time is right, when your vibration is clear, when your heart is open, when your soul says yes, the universe will rush to meet you. It will open the door. It will show you the signs. It will orchestrate miracles. But it all begins with presence. Right now, as you read these words, take a breath. Close your eyes. Feel the rhythm within you. Feel the silence between the seconds. That's where the divine speaks. That's where the signs live. You are not lost. You are being led. The stars are not distant. They are maps. The signs are not random. They are sacred. And your timing is not broken. It is being blessed. This is the key of celestial timing. It opens the door to effortless manifestation, but only if you listen, only if you trust, only if you honor the signs that have always been guiding you home. Chapter 7. The Key of Archetypal Power. There are forces older than civilization, older than language, older than the written word or the spoken spell. Forces that dance in myth, whisper in dreams, echo in storylines that repeat through every culture and every age. You've met them before: the hero, the sage, the lover, the outcast, the king, the fool. These are not fictional roles, nor are they limited to fables. These are archetypes, eternal energies living inside you, waiting to be recognized, activated, and embodied. To understand the sacred key of archetypal power is to awaken the pantheon within. You are not one being, you are many. Your soul is not linear, but a kaleidoscope. The hero rises in you when you face fear. The healer awakens when you comfort another. The warrior stands tall when injustice arises. And the visionary emerges when you dare to dream. The ancient mystery schools knew this. In Egypt, initiates walked through temples not to learn, but to become. Each chamber invoked a different archetype. One chamber taught courage. Another evoked surrender. A third demanded wisdom. It was not about knowledge. It was about embodiment. The student had to live the energy, not just study it. And so must you. Because life is not asking you to read the map. Life is asking you to be the map. Archetypes are your compass. Let's begin here. At the beginning, the innocent, the dreamer, the child. This is your first face. You were born with it. The innocent believes the world is good, that magic is real, that wishes come true. But the innocent gets wounded, doesn't it? Life disappoints, promises break, pain arrives. And so, the next archetype awakens, the orphan. The orphan knows betrayal. The orphan has tasted loss. This part of you learns the hard truth. The world is not always safe. But the orphan does not mean weakness. It births discernment, independence, the hunger for truth. And from that hunger, the seeker is born. The seeker inside you craves something deeper, something real. You pack your emotional bags and leave behind what no longer fits. You search for meaning in books, teachers, heartbreaks, and starlit skies. Then comes the warrior. You've found your truth, and now you must protect it. The warrior inside you rises not just with fists, but with boundaries, with voice, with the refusal to shrink any longer. This part of you has been asleep every time you betrayed your own truth for comfort. Now it awakens. But as you wield strength, you encounter your next threshold, the lover. The lover teaches you vulnerability, passion, devotion, not just to a person, but to a path, a purpose, an ideal. The lover opens your heart after it was closed. It says, "Let beauty matter again." It shows you how to weep in gratitude. From here, the creator emerges. The creator doesn't just feel, it builds, it paints, it sculpts reality with intention. This part of you is the architect of dreams. You're no longer waiting for a miracle. You are the miracle. The creator says, "Here's the vision, I will shape it with these hands." And then, the destroyer. Yes, the destroyer is sacred, because everything that is not true must die. The destroyer is the fire that clears the forest, the storm that washes away the lie. This archetype is not evil. It is purifying. It burns illusions so that only the real may remain. It hurts, but it heals. After destruction, what comes next? The sage, the one who understands, the inner elder, the whisperer of wisdom. This is the you who sees beyond polarity, who no longer reacts, but responds. The sage teaches you to observe, to listen, to wait, to know. It says, "You've been through enough to trust the silence." And finally, the magician, the one who dances between worlds. The part of you that alchemizes pain into power, who knows that symbols create reality, and thought is the raw material of destiny. The magician doesn't force outcomes, they shift frequency. They become the thing they seek, and then the thing appears. These are not characters in books. These are the secret dimensions of your soul, the sacred mask you wear on different days. But here's the mystery. Each archetype carries a shadow. The hero can become the martyr. The lover can become the addict. The warrior, the tyrant. The sage, the cynic. The magician, the manipulator. To work with archetypal power is not only to embody their light, but to face their shadows. To see when your strength becomes domination, when your wisdom becomes detachment, when your desire becomes obsession. This work requires honesty, grit, and compassion. Because you are not meant to live in one archetype. You are meant to dance between them. And when you master this inner pantheon, when you know which face to wear, when to call upon which voice, you become untouchable, unstoppable. Not because you're always strong, but because you know which part of you is needed for this part of life. This is the sacred art of shape-shifting, not in disguise, but in truth. Let me show you the secret. Perhaps you're trapped in the orphan, believing no one can help, or over-identified with the warrior, fighting everything, or lingering too long in the seeker, never arriving. When you feel stagnant, ask yourself, which part of me is being called to the stage now? What energy is asking to be activated in this moment? What archetype must I become to meet this moment? And when you do this, you no longer act from old wounds. You act from sacred alignment. You draw from your inner court, your own council of divine energies. This is not role play. This is soul play. It is remembering that within you is a galaxy of gods, and each god has a gift. You do not need to become someone else. You need only to become more of yourself. Because every archetype is not an addition to your identity. It is a doorway to your divinity. And the key is awareness. To know the archetypes is one thing, to embody them, that is mastery. For knowledge remains hollow without embodiment. Wisdom without action is a song unsung. And so now, you are invited beyond identification. You are called into expression, activation, revelation. This is the art of becoming, not just knowing. This is how the archetypes become alive in your being, walking not beside you, but through you. Each archetype is an instrument, but you are the orchestra. When you tune yourself to the divine frequency of each archetypal power, your life begins to play the melodies of destiny. The symphony becomes harmony. But the music must be lived. It must be breathed, bled, woven through every gesture and gaze. So how do you embody these sacred roles? You begin, first, with invocation. Not ritual in the old sense, but sacred intention. In the morning, when your feet touch the earth, ask, which aspect of my soul is required today? Close your eyes. Feel into the moment. Is it the lover, bringing softness to the chaos? The warrior, lending strength to a confrontation? The sage, bringing calm to the confusion? Or the creator, rising to birth beauty into form? You do not act blindly. You summon consciously. This is divine craftsmanship. To live archetypally is to live awake. It is to know when to speak and when to listen, when to act and when to yield, when to stand firm like the king, and when to flow like the mystic. And it begins, always, with the breath. Inhale as the seeker, open to what is coming. Exhale as the magician, creating from what is here. Then, as you walk through your day, carry the chosen archetype like a sacred garment. If it is the lover, how do you touch, speak, move? If it is the warrior, how do you walk into the room? What posture holds your spine? If it is the creator, how do you shape your words? How do you sculpt time? These subtle shifts ripple outward. The universe responds. And in each interaction, you begin to mirror the archetypal truth within others. When you embody the sage, people come to you with questions. When you embody the healer, wounds rise to be soothed. When you embody the visionary, opportunities appear like hidden stars igniting in the sky. You are the tuning fork. Life attunes to you. But there is more. Because to embody an archetype is to heal its shadow, not just bask in its light. The warrior must learn not to conquer with arrogance but protect with grace. The lover must learn to love without losing the self. The creator must learn to trust the process, not be seduced by perfection. The sage must remember to feel, not hide behind intellect. And the magician, oh yes, the magician, must remember that true power is service, not manipulation. So, Embodiment requires humility. You must enter the temple of each archetype not as a master, but as a student. And the more you embody, the more you integrate. The more you integrate, the more you become whole. Because the truth is this: you are not here to master one archetype. You are here to become the sacred synthesis of all. The living bridge between the polarities. The king who listens like the sage and feels like the lover. The warrior who protects with the patience of the healer. The magician who dances with the wild innocence of the fool. This is divine complexity. You are not meant to be one thing. You are meant to be everything in balance. And this balance is not static. It is alive. It shifts with your seasons, with your cycles, with the call of the moment. There will be weeks when your warrior must lead. There will be months when the seeker must wander. There will be days when the lover must break open and nights when the mystic must retreat into silence. Let it all be welcome. You are not becoming someone new. You are remembering someone ancient. You are recalling the sacred theater of the soul. And life, dear soul, is your stage. So act well, not for applause, but for authenticity. Let each archetype be a sacred flame you light on the altar of experience. Let them burn together. Let them dance through you. And here is the deepest truth. When you fully embody the archetypes, you begin to access archetypal memory. You remember not just this life, but echoes of other lives. Timelines where you were the queen, the priest, the poet, the prophet, and those memories, though veiled, hold keys to your gifts now. The magician awakens past life intuition. The warrior recalls ancient battles fought and won. The healer remembers the herbs, the hands, the sacred songs. The sage brings back the scrolls read long ago under starlit skies. So as you embody the archetypes, your soul begins to awaken its legacy. Your DNA stirs. Your blood pulses with ancient memory. You are not just living this life. You are reclaiming the wisdom of all your lives. And one day you will no longer ask, "Who am I?" because you will feel the answer. You are the one who holds the many. You are the temple that houses the pantheon. You are the sacred mirror reflecting every face of God. To walk this path is not to pretend, but to remember. Not to perform, but to integrate. And in that integration, you become holy. Not as a figure to be worshipped, but as a soul aligned with its divine blueprint. So rise now as the embodied one. Let the seeker bow to the sage. Let the lover meet the warrior. Let the creator sit beside the healer. Let the mystic open the veil so the magician may weave the unseen into the seen. These are not characters in a play. These are facets of your divinity. These are the keys that unlock the sacred corridors within. And when you walk as the living temple of archetypal power, the world itself bends in reverence. Because God is not in the sky. God is not in the book. God is in you as you, living through you. In infinite faces of light, you, beloved, are the sacred role the universe has been waiting to see played fully. Play it now, with love, with truth, with fire. Play it now, as only you can. Chapter 8. The Key of Elemental Alignment. Beneath the surface of all matter, all thought, all breath, lies the silent pulse of the elements, the primordial forces that gave birth to the stars, to the oceans, to the echo of thunder in the canyons of your soul. Long before cities rose, before names were spoken, before even gods were named, there was earth, water, fire, air, and ether. These were not metaphors. They were, and are, the building blocks of all existence, the sacred language of form and formlessness. Every heartbeat echoes their rhythm. Every desire is carried on their current. Every choice, Every breath, every emotion is the movement of elements within you. You are not a creature of flesh and mind alone. You are a symphony of elements in sacred dialogue. And the moment you remember this, the moment you begin to align with these eternal currents, life no longer feels random. It feels divine. Begin with the earth. Feel its presence not just beneath your feet, but within your bones, your structure, your patience, your stillness. Earth is the part of you that endures. It is the foundation of your being, the calm center in a spinning world. When you feel scattered, when your thoughts spiral like leaves in the wind, it is Earth that brings you home. To align with Earth is to return to groundedness, to presence, to the holy art of being here, now. Walk barefoot, sit upon stone. Place your hands on bark and whisper your worries into the roots. Let Earth absorb what you no longer need. Let it give you back the slow wisdom of trees, the steady rhythm of mountain time. When you feel Earth, you remember. Nothing real can be rushed. Then, call in water, the sacred flow, the divine current, the tears you once held back. Water lives in your emotions, your adaptability, your ability to soften and surrender. Where Earth roots, water flows. Where Earth holds, water heals. And you need both. Water asks you to feel fully, to stop resisting your tides. Emotions are not enemies to be tamed. They are sacred rivers that carry you closer to your truth. The tears you cry are sacred baptisms. The longing in your chest is water moving through you. To align with water is to become more human, more divine. Immerse yourself, bathe in rivers, listen to the rain. Drink water as prayer. Let it move through you and clear you. Speak your truth to the ocean and listen to what it whispers back. Water teaches, when you stop resisting the wave, you become the ocean. Now, awaken fire, the spark, the will, the divine desire to become. Fire is not chaos, it is focused transformation. It is your passion, your vision, your hunger to grow. Fire lives in your belly, your spine, your purpose. It is the roar behind your dreams. But left untended, fire can burn wild. It must be honored and channeled. To align with fire is to become clear on your desire, devoted to your truth, fearless in the face of change. Light a candle before each new step. Speak your intentions aloud into the flame. Let your actions be fire-born, direct, sacred, luminous. Burn away the false, burn away the old. Let fire purify the temple of your mind. Let it teach you, when you burn for what is real, the universe cannot ignore you. And now, breathe in. Air, the unseen messenger, the carrier of thought and word and idea. Air is intellect, imagination, expression, and expansion. It fills your lungs, moves your voice, carries your intentions. Air is the space between things, the sacred breath between words, the silence that speaks louder than sound. When you feel trapped or heavy, it is air that lifts. When your thoughts become stagnant, air refreshes. To align with air is to let go, to loosen your grip, to give your truth wings. Sing, speak, breathe deeply with reverence. Whisper mantras into the wind and trust they will be heard. Let your voice carry prayers across unseen realms. Air teaches. When you stop holding your breath, miracles move through you. And finally, ether, the invisible essence, the spirit between all things, the space that holds the elements and unites them in divine order. Ether is not matter, but meaning. It is intuition. It is soul. It is the reason a song moves you to tears, or why a sunset makes you feel both infinite and small. Ether cannot be touched, yet it touches everything. It is the realm of dreams, of subtle senses, of the whisper behind coincidence. To align with ether is to open beyond the five senses, to trust the unseen, to feel the divine orchestration guiding your every step. Ether is the canvas, the sacred field, the cosmic stillness in which all motion arises. Meditate in the dark. Watch the stars. Feel the space between your thoughts. Trust what you cannot yet explain. Ether teaches. When you surrender to the unseen, you become one with the divine intelligence. These five elements are not separate. They are the sacred circle, the eternal wheel. When one dominates, imbalance arises. When they harmonize, life flows. And so your work is not to favor one, but to dance with all. To know when earth is needed and when air must move. To know when to feel like water and when to roar like fire. To know when to act, when to rest, when to burn, when to breathe. Life becomes art when you learn to balance your elements. Manifestation becomes magic. Creation becomes ease. Even your energy body reflects this elemental design. Your root chakra holds earth. Your sacral chakra holds water. Your solar plexus, fire. Your heart breathes air. Your throat, air again in sound. Your third eye opens ether. Your crown is ether. You are the temple in which the elements pray. And so, beloved, remember this. You are not separate from nature. You are not apart from the cosmos. You are the fire that burns in stars. You are the water that sings in rivers. You are the earth that births all form. You are the air that carries the divine word. You are the ether through which God dreams. Walk not as a person lost in thought. Walk as a living altar of the elements. Speak as a voice for the wind. Move as a flame with purpose. Feel as the river feels. Stand as the mountain stands, and let it all be sacred. Because when your elements align, your soul awakens. When your elements dance, you become whole. When you live in elemental harmony, you remember you are not just alive. You are life itself. To truly awaken as a being of divine potential, you must do more than understand the elements. You must embody them. It is not enough to name them in sacred texts or meditate upon their essence. You must live as their expression. Walk as earth, speak as air, burn as fire, flow as water, and radiate as ether. In every breath, in every choice, you are invited to harmonize the great elemental orchestra that plays through your very being. For you are not separate from this creation. You are a vessel of its perfection. The key of elemental alignment asks, not for reverence alone, but participation. Not worship, but embodiment. Not knowledge, but integration. You are the dance of opposites made whole. And in mastering the inner balance of these sacred forces, you become a clear channel through which divine reality manifests on earth. Begin with daily presence. Ask yourself each morning, not what must I do today, but rather, what element wishes to move through me now? There are days when earth is needed, when stability, routine, nourishment, and rest are the medicine your soul seeks. Do not resist these days. Do not force productivity when the element of stillness is whispering. Rest is creation. Grounding is magic. Plant your feet in the soil and let earth draw out your burdens. Other days, water flows through you. Emotion surging, intuition rising. These are the days to write, to cry, to move, to feel. Water brings insight, renewal, softness. Trust its floods. Let it carry you. Let it cleanse what you've outgrown. And then, when the fire awakens, feel its heat rising from the center of your being. Passion, purpose, transformation. This is the energy of action, of sacred discipline, of bold yes and unshakable no. Don't suppress this fire. Don't tame it with fear. Use it as a torch to light the darkened corridors of doubt. Burn away the fog of hesitation. Channel this power through your creative work, your focused tasks, your courageous decisions. Fire births the new self. Fire claims destiny. When it's present, move with it. Some days, the air will feel alive, your thoughts rapid, your creativity sharp, your words dancing in the wind. These are the days to brainstorm, to teach, to speak, to sing, to dream beyond the limits of form. Let your imagination fly. Let your voice rise. Air doesn't care about perfection. It cares about movement. Express freely. Write your truths. Breathe deeply. And when the wind of insight passes, bow in gratitude and let it carry your prayers. And when silence falls, when the body quiets, when thought recedes like a tide, you will feel ether. You will know it by the stillness, by the vastness, by the gentle hum that vibrates in the center of your soul. This is the space of intuition, of spirit, of sacred knowing. It asks for nothing. It reveals everything. These are the moments to meditate, to commune with the unseen, to listen to the subtle voice that speaks without words. Ether is the womb of all possibility, and you are its child, its priest, its prophet. Rest in this space. Let it reorder you. Let it remind you that before there was earth, water, fire, or air, there was the infinite field of consciousness, and you are still one with it. To become the living balance of these forces is not to master them like a conqueror, but to surrender to their wisdom as an apprentice of the divine. Life is not asking you to be perfect. Life is asking you to become whole. And wholeness is not sameness, it is not stillness, it is movement in harmony. Like a river that flows around rocks, like fire that rises through wood, like air that dances with light, like earth that cradles seed and decay, like ether that holds them all in sacred unity. This is the dance you were born to remember. When your inner earth is too rigid, call upon water. When emotions drown you, call upon fire. When action becomes reckless, call upon air. When mind spins in endless thought, return to earth. And when all four compete within you, drop into ether and allow the great rebalancing to begin from within. You were not meant to live out of sync with your own elements. You were meant to become a living temple of harmony, a walking, breathing, radiant embodiment of creation's perfect design. You can deepen this alignment through sacred ritual. Try this. At dawn, light a candle for fire, place your feet on the earth, sip cool water in reverence, and breathe 10 conscious breaths into your heart. Then sit in stillness and invoke ether, allowing the elements to unify within you. This simple daily practice will change the way you walk in the world. You will notice synchronicities increase. Confusion will dissolve, clarity will rise. You will no longer ask, "What should I do?" but rather, "What wants to flow through me now?" And from this state, aligned, balanced, connected, you become a vessel for miracles. Each element has a sacred voice. Listen to them. Earth whispers, "Rest and build." Water says, "Feel and release." Fire declares, "Act and transform." Air sings, "Speak and fly." Ether breathes, "Trust and remember." And when they speak in unison, when they are no longer fragmented but fused within you, you become the oracle you've been seeking, the healer, the mystic, the creator, the divine. You see, beloved, every sage, every avatar, every ascended master you've ever admired was not someone more special than you. They were simply more aligned. They became channels for the elements of heaven and earth to flow through without obstruction. They remembered they were not here to dominate nature, but to mirror it. You are here for the same. You are here to walk as a unified elemental force in human form. You are here to show others how to do the same. The earth needs not more information, but more integration. And you are the sacred bridge. This is the key of elemental alignment. Not a theory, not a concept, but a practice, a devotion, a return to your natural state. Let this chapter live in your body. Let it become how you move, how you breathe, how you listen, how you serve. You are the elements made flesh, dreaming themselves awake. And as you awaken, so does the world. Chapter 9. The Key of Sacred Imagination. Imagination is not a childish game. It is the first tool of the gods. It is the primal brush of creation, the sacred flame that burns within the mind's eye long before it reaches the material world. All things, every mountain, every masterpiece, every revolution, every dream, every empire, began first in the invisible kingdom of thought, born of the soul's ability to see what is not yet and to believe it into being. The key of sacred imagination does not unlock a world of fantasy. It opens the gates to the true origin of reality. For all that is visible was first imagined, and all that shall be imagined shall soon become visible. When you awaken to the real power of your inner world, you become more than a thinker. You become a divine architect, designing your world with the brushstrokes of focused vision, emotional conviction, and unwavering faith. You no longer react to reality, you write it. Your imagination is the workshop of the gods. And you, beloved, are already seated at the table of creation, pen in hand, consciousness open. The question is not whether you are creating, because you are always, but how consciously. Are you dreaming unconsciously, letting fear paint your visions in gray? Or are you sculpting your inner world with precision and love, knowing that all you imagine shall move toward you with magnetic certainty? Sacred imagination is not idle daydreaming. It is the deliberate communion with the field of infinite possibility. It is where you meet the divine in the silence of vision and are handed the raw blueprint of your destiny. When you hold an image with love, with focus, with emotional charge and spiritual clarity, the universe reorganizes itself around that vision. Like clay softening under warm hands, the atoms of your life begin to respond, like rivers changing their course, like stars finding new constellations. You do not force it, you imagine it. You align with it, you become it, and then it must appear. Children know this truth well. Before they are taught to fear, before the world tells them to be realistic, they live in imagination. A stick becomes a sword, a blanket becomes a kingdom, and a thought becomes an entire world. This is not foolishness, it is mastery. The sacred imagination is your return to this power. Not to escape reality, but to bend it toward truth. Not to flee the present, but to infuse it with possibility. Imagination is your bridge between spirit and matter. When you use it deliberately, reverently, and joyfully, you re-enter the temple of divine creation. Sit quietly. Close your eyes. Now see, not with sight, but with soul. What do you long to experience? What do you yearn to become? What vision, long buried beneath logic and fear, is still alive inside you, asking to be remembered? Bring it forth now. Breathe life into it. Picture it in detail. Let it unfold, not as a hope, but as a memory. See it as if it is already so. Feel the joy in your body. Hear the sounds of that fulfilled vision. Taste the air of your manifested destiny. Let the experience flood your nervous system. This is not pretending, this is activating. You are stepping into resonance with your desired reality. And once resonance is achieved, manifestation is inevitable. There was a time when sages, mystics, and prophets would retreat to caves, not merely for silence, but for vision. They understood what modern minds have forgotten, that seeing in the inner realm is the precursor to creating in the outer. These visionaries would fast, breathe, and enter trance, not to escape life, but to shape it. They would see symbols, colors, architectures of light, and they would return to the world changed. Their presence different, their aura magnetic. They had seen what was possible, and so it came to pass. You have this same capacity. Your imagination is the cave. Your breath is the portal. Your focus is the flame. The universe responds to vivid imagery backed by emotion. Thought alone is a spark, but thought fueled by feeling is fire. This is why sacred imagination works. It is not visualization alone. It is emotional embodiment of the unseen. When you imagine with feeling, you tell your subconscious, "This is real." And the subconscious accepts no difference between what is real and what is vividly felt. So it begins to adjust your body, your beliefs, your behaviors, and your external environment to match this inner script. You are not waiting for the world to change. You are changing yourself, and the world must follow. This is the mystery revealed. You don't chase your desires. You become the version of you who has already received them. That becoming begins in the temple of imagination. Every day, take time to dwell in vision, not just for goals, but for presence, for transformation, for beauty. Imagine the future you from a place of wonder and gratitude. Walk through that life in your mind like it is your home. Let your sacred imagination be your rehearsal space for miracles. Let it be your altar, your prayer, your offering. The more you imagine, the more you believe. The more you believe, the more you become. And when you become, reality yields. The great teachers of the past left clues in their words. As a man thinketh, so is he. Ask, believing you have received. Whatever you desire, when you pray, believe you already possess it. These were not metaphors, they were sacred codes. The power is not in pleading, it is in perceiving. Prayer is not just asking, it is imaginative alignment with the divine. Sacred imagination is how you knock on heaven's door and realize it was always open. What you hold in your inner temple becomes your outer sanctuary. This is law, immutable, eternal, divine. And so now, beloved, you are being invited to return to your throne of creation, not to imagine randomly, not to hope vaguely, but to consciously, sacredly, consistently see yourself as the living embodiment of your highest vision. What does the fulfilled you look like? How do you speak, move, serve, love, create? See that, breathe that, write that, feel that. Let it consume your doubt. Let it become your dominant frequency. The world you desire is waiting, not in the distance, but in your willingness to see it fully. And when you do, the universe will conspire to reach that clarity. Because that's what it's always done. Because you are not just the observer of life. You are its author. This is the key of sacred imagination, the key that turns thought into form, longing into life, and vision into victory. Imagination is not a childish game. It is the first tool of the gods. It is the primal brush of creation, the sacred flame that burns within the mind's eye long before it reaches the material world. All things, every mountain, every masterpiece, every revolution, every dream, every empire, began first in the invisible kingdom of thought, born of the soul's ability to see what is not yet and to believe it into being. The key of sacred imagination does not unlock a world of fantasy. It opens the gates to the true origin of reality. For all that is visible was first imagined, and all that shall be imagined shall soon become visible. When you awaken to the real power of your inner world, you become more than a thinker. You become a divine architect, designing your world with the brushstrokes of focused vision, emotional conviction, and unwavering faith. You no longer react to reality, you write it. Your imagination is the workshop of the gods. And you, beloved, are already seated at the table of creation, pen in hand, consciousness open. The question is not whether you are creating, because you are always, but how consciously. Are you dreaming unconsciously, letting fear paint your visions in gray? Or are you sculpting your inner world with precision and love, knowing that all you imagine shall move toward you with magnetic certainty? Sacred imagination is not idle daydreaming. It is the deliberate communion with the field of infinite possibility. It is where you meet the divine in the silence of vision and are handed the raw blueprint of your destiny. When you hold an image with love, with focus, with emotional charge and spiritual clarity, the universe reorganizes itself around that vision. Like clay softening under warm hands, the atoms of your life begin to respond, like rivers changing their course, like stars finding new constellations. You do not force it, you imagine it. You align with it. You become it. And then it must appear. Children know this truth well. Before they are taught to fear, before the world tells them to be realistic, they live in imagination. A stick becomes a sword, a blanket becomes a kingdom, and a thought becomes an entire world. This is not foolishness, it is mastery. The sacred imagination is your return to this power. Not to escape reality, but to bend it toward truth. Not to flee the present, but to infuse it with possibility. Imagination is your bridge between spirit and matter. When you use it deliberately, reverently, and joyfully, you re-enter the temple of divine creation. Sit quietly. Close your eyes. Now see, not with sight, but with soul. What do you long to experience? What do you yearn to become? What vision, long buried beneath logic and fear, is still alive inside you, asking to be remembered? Bring it forth now. Breathe life into it. Picture it in detail. Let it unfold, not as a hope, but as a memory. See it as if it is already so. Feel the joy in your body. Hear the sounds of that fulfilled vision. Taste the air of your manifested destiny. Let the experience flood your nervous system. This is not pretending. This is activating. You are stepping into resonance with your desired reality. And once resonance is achieved, manifestation is inevitable. There was a time when sages, mystics, and prophets would retreat to caves, not merely for silence, but for vision. They understood what modern minds have forgotten, that seeing in the inner realm is the precursor to creating in the outer. These visionaries would fast, breathe, and enter trance, not to escape life, but to shape it. They would see symbols, colors, architectures of light, and they would return to the world changed. Their presence different, their aura magnetic. They had seen what was possible, and so it came to pass. You have this same capacity. Your imagination is the cave. Your breath is the portal. Your focus is the flame. The universe responds to vivid imagery backed by emotion. Thought alone is a spark, but thought fueled by feeling is fire. This is why sacred imagination works. It is not visualization alone. It is emotional embodiment of the unseen. When you imagine with feeling, you tell your subconscious, "This is real." And the subconscious accepts no difference between what is real and what is vividly felt. So it begins to adjust your body, your beliefs, your behaviors, and your external environment to match this inner script. You are not waiting for the world to change. You are changing yourself, and the world must follow. This is the mystery revealed. You don't chase your desires. You become the version of you who has already received them. That becoming begins in the temple of imagination. Every day, take time to dwell in vision, not just for goals, but for presence, for transformation, for beauty. Imagine the future you from a place of wonder and gratitude. Walk through that life in your mind, like it is your home. Let your sacred imagination be your rehearsal space for miracles. Let it be your altar, your prayer, your offering. The more you imagine, the more you believe. The more you believe, the more you become. And when you become, reality yields. The great teachers of the past left clues in their words. As a man thinketh, so is he. Ask, believing you have received. Whatever you desire, when you pray, believe you already possess it. These were not metaphors, they were sacred codes. The power is not in pleading, it is in perceiving. Prayer is not just asking, it is imaginative alignment with the divine. Sacred imagination is how you knock on heaven's door and realize it was always open. What you hold in your inner temple becomes your outer sanctuary. This is law, immutable, eternal, divine. And so now, beloved, you are being invited to return to your throne of creation, not to imagine randomly, not to hope vaguely, but to consciously, sacredly, consistently see yourself as the living embodiment of your highest vision. What does the fulfilled you look like? How do you speak, move, serve, love, create? See that, breathe that, write that, feel that. Let it consume your doubt. Let it become your dominant frequency. The world you desire is waiting, not in the distance, but in your willingness to see it fully. And when you do, the universe will conspire to match that clarity. Because that's what it's always done. Because you are not just the observer of life. You are its author. This is the key of sacred imagination. The key that turns thought into form, longing into life, and vision into victory. Imagination is the secret stairway that ascends beyond the visible world and into the halls of divine intelligence. It is the unmarked door between heaven and earth, between what is and what could be, between the soul's whisper and the world's echo. Every age of wisdom has revered imagination not as a fleeting fantasy, but as the organ of prophecy. It is the eye of the spirit, the voice of the unseen, the canvas upon which source begins to paint through you. The ancients taught this not with charts or textbooks, but through symbols, rituals, and lived experience. They knew that a man or woman who could command their inner vision could reshape rivers, summon healing, part clouds with prayer, or birth golden ages from ruin. Imagination is not soft. It is the sword of the mystic, the compass of the Creator, the flame by which civilizations are rekindled. In the sacred temples of Kemet, initiates would be guided into inner chambers, cloaked in silence and darkness, not as punishment, but as preparation. The darkness was the womb, and the silence was the brush. There, they would be asked to see, to gaze not with their physical eyes, but with the divine sight within. To behold symbols in motion, animals made of light, sacred geometry unfolding like flowers. They would learn to navigate realms not bound by gravity or time. And when they emerged, they were not just priests, they were co-creators. They had seen the lattice of light that binds the cosmos. They had walked through the architecture of thought before it crystallizes into matter. And so they were trusted with healing, with prophecy, with governance, not because of power, but because of vision. This sacred art is not lost. It is dormant. It is waiting in you, in the quiet moments when your eyes close and the veil grows thin. It is in the dream that won't leave you. It is in the memory that feels like a message. It is in the knowing that what you see matters more than what others can perceive. Imagination is how the soul speaks in the language of light. It is how your higher self leaves breadcrumbs in the forest of form. And when you follow those symbols, those feelings, those inner movies that arrive without warning, you find yourself guided, protected, and aligned in ways logic could never explain. This is why your imagination has been under attack since childhood. They told you it was play, that it wasn't real, that to grow up meant to abandon wonder, to trade the inner world for the outer noise. But that was never truth. It was conditioning. Because a population that imagines is a population that cannot be controlled. A soul that dreams is a soul that cannot be confined. So they teach you to fear your own mind, to believe that what you see inside has no bearing on what happens outside. But you are awakening now. You remember, you were never meant to fit into reality. You were born to remake it. Imagination is how the divine breathes new life into the world through you. When you use your imagination as a sacred tool, you begin to operate in a different rhythm. You don't wait for signs. You become one. You don't beg for change. You embody it. You begin to live from your vision rather than merely dreaming of it. You start to make choices in alignment with what you have already seen. You walk like it's already done. You speak like it's already here. And slowly but surely, the universe catches up. Because reality is not a fixed wall. It is a mirror. And it always reflects the dominant image held within the soul. There is a technique ancient mystics practiced, known in modern terms as assumption. It is the art of becoming, not hoping, not pleading, but assuming the role of your future self, here and now. They would rise each day, not asking, "How do I get there?" but declaring, "I am already there." They would breathe the air of that reality, move as if surrounded by it. Think only thoughts that match that frequency, because assumption is not delusion, it is alignment. It is the matching of your vibration to the reality you wish to live in. And once matched, the door must open. Because the lock was never outside, it was always your state of being. When you sit in sacred imagination, you are not making up your dream, you are making room for it. You are carving out space in your nervous system for its arrival. You are preparing your heart to hold the joy, the power, the love, the abundance that is already circling your field, waiting for an invitation. And the invitation is not a wish, it is a frequency. It is your willingness to believe, feel, and embody what you have not yet seen. This is faith, not blind, but visionary, not passive, but electric, and it changes everything. Sacred imagination is also how you access divine guidance. It is the space where intuition speaks in images, where symbols become maps, where inner sight becomes your compass. The next time you feel uncertain, lost, or overwhelmed, pause, close your eyes, breathe deeply, ask for guidance, and see. Let the images come. Don't judge them. Don't analyze them. Let your soul speak in its native tongue. You may see a river, a bird, a flame, a door. Trust the symbols. They are messengers. They are teachers. They are fragments of higher knowledge delivered in the code of vision. Your job is to listen, to feel, and to follow. To strengthen this sacred key, practice daily imaginative embodiment. Not just visualization, but incarnation. Choose one vision of your highest self. See it with clarity. Now breathe into it. Speak as that version of you. Dress as that version of you. Move, eat, write, and create from that version of you. This is not fantasy. It is formation. You are not pretending. You are training your system to hold that vibration. And in time, the world will reflect back what you have dared to become. Remember, you were created in the image of the Creator, not to admire, but to create. And creation begins in the invisible realm. First the Word, then the world. First the vision, then the form. First the sacred image, then the sacred embodiment. This is the ancient path of divine manifestation, and imagination is the gate. So I invite you now, return to your inner sanctuary, dust off your dreams, reignite the visions you buried. Give yourself permission to believe again, to see again, to co-create again. You are not waiting for miracles. You are the miracle waiting to be awakened by your own belief. This is the key of sacred imagination. and it lives within you, ready to open realms of wonder you once called impossible. Chapter 10: The Key of Divine Masculine and Feminine Union. There is a rhythm to the universe, ancient and sacred, felt long before language and untouched by time. It is not the rhythm of the clock, nor the ticking of man-made hours. It is the pulse beneath the stars, the breath of mountains, the heartbeat of oceans. It is the dance of dual forces that are not in conflict, but in love. These forces, masculine and feminine, exist in all of creation, not as genders, but as energies, not as identities, but as divine aspects of a single sacred whole. In every atom, every wave, every breath you take, the masculine and feminine dance as one. This is the mystery once taught only in inner sanctuaries, whispered in mystery schools and etched into temple walls with gold and silence. The ancients knew that balance was the key, not power over, but power with, not dominance, but harmony. The masculine and feminine were never meant to war, but to weave. Together they formed the sacred spiral, the golden helix of creation itself. The masculine as structure, presence, direction. The feminine as flow, intuition, birth. The masculine is the sun, piercing and steady. The feminine is the moon, reflective and deep. One illuminates, one dreams, one guides, one reveals. And when united in balance, they awaken the God within. This balance is not only cosmic, it is personal. You are not a random mix of traits. You are a microcosm of the divine. Inside you, the sacred masculine stands guard with the sword of clarity, and the sacred feminine dances with the veil of mystery. One holds the line, the other expands the field. One says, "I will." The other says, "I receive." And both are needed for wholeness, for creation, for ascension. When one dominates, you collapse inward or spiral outward. But when both are in right relationship, you become a walking temple, a breathing altar, a being through whom heaven and earth kiss. But for millennia, these energies have been torn apart. Cultures have exalted the masculine while suppressing the feminine. Strength over softness, logic over intuition, doing over being. The masculine was praised, but distorted, turned from guardian to tyrant, from presence to aggression, and the feminine, once revered as the womb of all life, was silenced, shamed, hidden. Her intuition was labeled hysteria, her emotion was dismissed as weakness, but no energy can truly be suppressed. It only retreats, waits, or erupts, and now the eruption has come. Humanity feels it, the imbalance, the ache, the call to union. This call is not just societal, it is spiritual. It begins inside. Within you, the sacred masculine may have been wounded, taught to harden, to fear vulnerability, to perform endlessly for worth. And your sacred feminine may have been buried beneath guilt, told to stay quiet, to not feel too much, to not dream too wildly. But now, you are being invited to reclaim both. Not to choose between them, but to marry them. Because only through their union can the God within you rise. To awaken this sacred marriage, you must first meet each energy in love. Call forth your inner masculine and speak. You are safe to be. You are not only what you produce. You are not only what you protect. You are presence, pure and steady. You are the mountain I can rest against. You are the focus, the integrity, the sacred action that moves without force. I honor you. And then turn to your inner feminine and whisper. You are safe to feel. You are not too much. Your waters are holy. You are the oracle, the muse, the space where life is born and nurtured. You are beauty, not for the gaze of others, but for the expression of the soul. You are chaos in her sacred form. I honor you. Begin to notice how these energies show up in your daily life. When you overextend, chase, or push, that is your masculine out of balance, becoming a tyrant instead of a protector. When you collapse, withhold, or drift endlessly, that is your feminine out of balance, becoming lost in the sea of emotion with no vessel to contain her. But when you feel inspired and take aligned action, that is the sacred marriage. When you rest and receive without guilt, that is the sacred union. When your clarity is fueled by compassion and your stillness is alive with presence, you are remembering who you were always meant to be. In the ancient mystery schools of Lemuria and Atlantis, students were taught to embody this union. They were shown how the breath could become a ritual of balance. Inhale, the masculine. Exhale, the feminine. Inhale, presence. Exhale, surrender. They practiced walking meditations where each step was guided by purpose, but softened by awareness. They honored the masculine with the sword of truth and the feminine with the chalice of love. And through these practices, they didn't just learn balance, they became it. This wisdom lives within you still. You don't need temples of stone, you are the temple. Each day you can practice balancing these energies. Begin your morning with the masculine, structure, focus, clear intention. And end your day with the feminine, reflection, feeling, release. Let your words carry the masculine's honesty and the feminine's grace. Let your creations move with both precision and poetry. Let your relationships reflect strength and softness. Be the flame and the candle. Be the silence and the song. As these energies merge within, something extraordinary begins to happen. You stop seeking completion in others. You stop playing out unconscious patterns of dominance and submission, chasing or avoiding. You stop recreating wounding in your relationships because your inner marriage becomes the source of all outer harmony. The masculine no longer needs to dominate to feel worthy. The feminine no longer needs to shrink to feel safe. They rise together, and you rise with them. This is not theory. This is ancient power, remembered. You are not just healing yourself, you are healing a lineage. You are mending the fabric of generations torn by imbalance. And as you restore the sacred within, you radiate it outward. You become a beacon of union in a world that has long forgotten it. Your presence becomes the prayer, your life becomes the temple. And others feel it, not because you speak it, but because you are it. The divine masculine and feminine are not in opposition. They are in sacred romance. Their union births new worlds, new realities, new ways of being. And when they unite within you, you begin to live as the God you are, a being of sacred wholeness, capable of shaping existence not from force, but from alignment. This is the key of divine masculine and feminine union, a key that unlocks not just balance, but embodiment, not just harmony, but holy fire, not just healing, but the blueprint of divine expression. And it lives in you now, waiting to be remembered, rebalanced, and reignited. To embody the sacred marriage within is to step into life as a living altar, where every moment becomes a ritual, and every breath is a prayer. It is not enough to understand the masculine and feminine as concepts. You must bring them into your walk, your tone, your gaze, your response. This is not about perfection, it is about presence. Every choice becomes a thread in the great weaving, where you choose again and again to live from wholeness rather than division, from sacred balance rather than old survival patterns. The sacred masculine within you longs to show up, not to control but to anchor, not to suppress but to stabilize. It shows up in your discipline, in the healthy structures you build to support your soul's expansion. It's in the commitments you honor, the boundaries you maintain not as walls but as gates of protection around your sacredness. The masculine is the warrior of peace, not war. The guardian of vision, not dominance. Each time you set your intention with clarity, each time you rise with purpose and focus your energy, without forcing, you're living as the divine masculine incarnate. And the sacred feminine, she waits to be invited, not by demand, but by reverence. She thrives not in chaos, but in flow. Her strength is not loud, but deep, like the tides. She awakens when you soften your breath, when you allow your body to feel without judgment, when you make space for the unknown. The feminine moves in spirals, not lines. She doesn't rush to answers. She listens, feels, births, and reveals. Each time you surrender without losing yourself, each time you express without shame, each time you trust your intuition even when it defies logic, you are living the divine feminine. In daily life, you are given infinite invitations to embody this sacred union. When challenges arise, you can respond with the masculine's still presence and the feminine's compassionate awareness. When creating, you can invoke the masculine to build the framework and the feminine to infuse it with soul. When speaking your truth, you can call upon the masculine's courage and the feminine's grace. And when resting, allow the feminine to hold you in stillness while the masculine stands guard in silent trust. Even your rituals can become expressions of this union. In the morning, as the sun rises, call in your inner masculine. Stand tall, breathe deeply, set your intentions. Light a candle and declare, "I choose aligned action today." In the evening, as the moon ascends, honor the feminine. Soften the lights, take a warm bath, journal your feelings, and whisper, "I receive the wisdom of my day." This sacred rhythm aligns you with the ancient cosmic pulse, the balance of doing and being, structure and surrender, fire and water. Your relationships also become sacred mirrors for this dance. You will notice when your masculine rises in defensiveness rather than presence. You will feel when your feminine collapses into emotional reactivity rather than empowered receptivity. But in this noticing, you have power. You can pause. You can breathe. You can choose again. Relationships are not battlegrounds for power struggles. They are temples where polarity is explored, honored, and refined. In romantic unions especially, this balance becomes magnetic. When one partner embodies the sacred masculine, presence, purpose, safety, and the other embodies the sacred feminine, receptivity, expression, mystery, a powerful energy emerges, not one of hierarchy, but of mutual reverence. The dance becomes electric, but if imbalance arises, if both become overly masculine, there is tension and control. If both retreat into wounded feminine, there is chaos and passivity. The key is not in labels or roles, but in flow. Polarity must move like breath, in and out, give and receive, hold and release. And you, beloved, hold both within. You are not half, waiting for another to complete you. You are whole. You are a walking union. And as you cultivate this inner balance, your external world rearranges to reflect it. Work becomes more fluid. Relationships deepen. Creativity ignites. Healing accelerates. Why? Because wholeness within radiates order without. As within, so without. As above, so below. To truly embody the sacred marriage, you must go beyond knowledge. You must live it. Not just in sacred spaces, but in the grocery store. Not just in meditation, but in conflict. Not just in poetry, but in silence. In how you hold your posture. In how you listen without interrupting. In how you rest without guilt. In how you act without ego. This is the alchemy. When the divine, masculine, and feminine flow through your every gesture, you become a vessel for the divine in motion. Remember, balance is not static, it is alive. It requires listening. It evolves. Some days, your masculine may need to lead. Other days, your feminine may need to rest. Honor the rhythm. Ask each morning, what energy within me needs to lead today? And listen. Trust your inner compass. Trust your sacred union. Let the sun and moon inside you meet. In ancient Egypt, this union was personified as Osiris and Isis, structure and mystery. In Hindu tradition, as Shiva and Shakti, consciousness and energy. In the sacred texts of Kemet, it was the fusion of Ma'at and Sekhem, order and power. All cultures knew that divinity was not one energy, but the fusion of two, the alchemical marriage, the hieros gamos, the sacred wedding of soul and spirit. You are not separate from these teachings. You are their continuation. So walk now as one who remembers, who no longer chooses between power and love, but walks in both, who leads with presence and listens with depth, who acts from intuition and receives from clarity. Let your voice carry fire and water. Let your path be lit by the sun and blessed by the moon. Let your life be the altar, and let the divine marriage be your offering. Because when the sacred masculine and sacred feminine unite within you, you don't just heal, you radiate. You don't just align, you create. And the God within you, the true you, finally steps forward, whole, awakened, and unstoppable. This is your sacred marriage. Let it unfold, let it rise, let it lead you home. Chapter 11. The Key of Soul Remembrance. You were never meant to forget who you are, but you did. Like all of us, you passed through the veil. The river of Lethe washed over your soul before you arrived in flesh. You emerged into this world with eyes wide open and heart still humming the melody of the stars, but over time, the song was drowned out. Layers of forgetting cloaked you. Names, systems, stories, rules, traumas, identities not your own. And so the divine blueprint you carried, the sacred seed of who you are, was buried deep within the soil of survival, but it was never lost. This chapter, the 11th key, is the return, the remembrance, the peeling away of everything you were never meant to carry, so the truth of your being can rise, like a temple rediscovered beneath centuries of dust. Soul remembrance is not a learning, it is an uncovering. You do not need to seek your greatness in distant lands or ancient books. You need only to remember, and you will. Because your soul has left breadcrumbs in every lifetime, in every dream, in every moment that made your heart ache with longing. You know who you are. You always have. The body remembers. The bones carry memory older than this lifetime. The hands know how to bless. The voice knows how to chant. The heart knows how to speak in the language of light. When you walk into certain places and feel chills, when you hear ancient instruments and weep without reason, when you dream of temples and stars and names you've never known, this is your soul speaking. It is saying, I remember. Do you? There is an old truth whispered through the mystery schools, carved into stone by sages whose names are long forgotten. What was written in fire shall return in fire. This is the fire of your spirit. It cannot be extinguished. Your soul has endured many lives, through temples and towers, palaces and prisons. You have been healer, warrior, priestess, philosopher, mother, monk, king, scribe. You have carried sacred scrolls through deserts, hidden light in the darkest times, died for truth, risen for love, all of it still within you. And when the world seems loud and confusing, when you feel like you don't belong, it is because your soul remembers more. It remembers unity. It remembers light. It remembers the frequency of truth. That ache you feel in the quiet moments, that's not despair. That's your soul knocking from beneath the surface saying, I'm still here, let me rise. To activate this remembrance, you must create space. Stillness is your gateway. Silence is your teacher. In a world that teaches you to seek outside, you must turn within. Begin with breath. Each inhale, a descent into the soul. Each exhale, a release of what was never yours. Let your breath guide you down, beneath the noise, beneath the mask, into the temple that lives behind your ribs. And there, softly, patiently, begin to ask the ancient questions. Who am I beneath my name? What wisdom lives in my blood? What light did I come to restore? Write what comes. Don't judge it. Let memory arise in fragments, in visions, in tears. Let yourself remember through poetry, through dance, through touch. Not all remembrance is logical. Sometimes the soul speaks in symbols, in colors, in dreams you can't explain. Trust it. You might remember a lifetime in Lemuria where you sang the language of water, or in Atlantis where you worked with crystalline grids. You may recall standing before crowds in ancient Greece, speaking truths that challenged empires. Or perhaps you remember the quiet lives, the lifetimes where your gift was in tending the earth, in holding children, in praying for a world that would not come for centuries. Each thread of memory is part of your soul's vast mosaic, and now, in this life, they all converge. Because this is the lifetime of convergence, of culmination. Many souls have chosen to incarnate now to complete what was begun long ago. You are one of them. That is why you feel pulled to teachings you've never studied, to symbols you've never been taught, to truths that make your body vibrate even though you've never heard them spoken before. You are remembering. You are not just a person seeking purpose. You are an eternal being reactivating your divine mission. And the more you remember, the more your power returns. Not egoic power, but the kind of radiant inner knowing that needs no validation. A quiet sovereignty, a soul, deep certainty. You are no longer here to fit in. You are here to activate others by being who you truly are. But know this, remembrance is not always easy. Because as you remember who you are, you must also let go of who you are not. You must grieve the versions of yourself that were born in forgetting. You must release identities that kept you safe but small. This is sacred shedding, and it is holy. You are not losing yourself. You are returning to yourself. One of the most profound ways to ignite this remembrance is through sacred mirror work. Stand before a mirror. Gaze into your own eyes. Not your face, your eyes. The portals. Say aloud, I remember you. Speak to the soul behind the flesh. Say the names that rise. Whisper the truths that come. Allow the tears, the trembling, the knowing. This is not performance. It is initiation. Another powerful practice is to revisit childhood memories. Not to analyze, but to retrieve. What did you love before you were taught what was valuable? What did you feel drawn to? What games did you play? What dreams did you have? Often, your earliest memories hold clues to your soul's design. That fascination with stars, that yearning to draw symbols, that feeling of being from somewhere else. These are keys. Keep a journal of soul memories, even if they don't make sense. Dreams, synchronicities, visions, emotional surges, ancient names that arrive in meditation. Collect them like sacred scrolls. Over time, the picture will become clearer, and you will realize you never needed to become anything. You only needed to remember. You are the culmination of many lifetimes. You are the intersection of many timelines. You are the echo of the ancients and the voice of the future. You are the bridge between what was and what shall be. You are the divine and human form, remembering its own name. And now, as your remembrance deepens, your energy shifts. Your presence changes rooms. Your voice carries codes. Your words plant seeds. You don't need to convince or preach. Your being activates simply by being, because when a soul remembers itself, it becomes a lighthouse for others. And that, beloved, is your true purpose. To remember, to embody, to shine. The memory is in your bones. Let it rise. Once the memory of who you truly are begins to surface, a new path unfolds. Not outward, but inward. It is not a road you walk, but a frequency you become. Living as the awakened one means breathing with the lungs of the cosmos, speaking with the tongue of the eternal, and moving through this world with the gentle, mighty weight of presence. It does not mean perfection. It means embodiment, integration. It means allowing your divine memory to pour into your daily moments, like golden light filling every corner of a once forgotten house. As the awakened one, you become the walking temple. Every word you speak becomes a chant, every action becomes a ritual, every gaze becomes a transmission. You no longer need robes, titles, or incense to be sacred. Your beingness is the offering, your awareness is the altar. The awakened one does not live in separation, no longer split between spiritual and mundane, sacred and ordinary. You recognize the divine in everything, from the stirring of your morning tea to the tears of a stranger in line behind you. You understand that God is not somewhere above you, God is moving through you. And yet, this awakening comes with a responsibility, a sacred one, not to fix the world, but to become the mirror through which others may recognize their own light. You are not here to rescue, to preach, or to prove. You are here to radiate, to be the living memory of divinity walking in form, to be so fully you that others remember how to be them. It is the quietest revolution, the most powerful medicine, and it begins within. There will be days when the forgetting returns, when the density of the world seems to pull you back into old roles, old patterns, old fears. But now you carry the flame, you know the way back. Your soul has shown you how to return, with breath, with stillness, with remembrance. You are no longer wandering aimlessly. You are walking with the memory of light in your cells. You can no longer unknow what you have awakened to. To live as the awakened one means to remain in devotion, not to something outside of yourself, but to the truth of your essence. Devotion is not rigid, it is not dogmatic. It is the daily, conscious act of remembering that you are the divine experiencing itself. Your every breath becomes a sacred contract. Your every choice, a ripple through the web of creation. And so you begin to live differently. You slow down, you speak with intention, you listen beyond words. You begin to notice when your energy contracts, when it expands, when it aligns. You track your inner world with reverence, like a mystic tending to a sacred flame. You say no to what dishonors your soul. You say yes to what nourishes it. You become your own oracle, your own sanctuary, your own sovereign guide. In this way, your presence becomes a sanctuary for others. People feel safe in your energy, not because you offer answers, but because you radiate authenticity. You have remembered your soul, and so they begin to remember theirs. You do not need to push, you simply glow. And in a world starved for light, that glow is everything. But living as the awakened one is not without challenge. You will be misunderstood. You will be called strange. You will walk paths few around you understand. But that is because you are no longer here to conform, you are here to consecrate. Your life becomes the consecration, your breath, the blessing, your laughter, the prayer. Let this be your practice, to live each day as if your soul is guiding your every step. Ask yourself in every moment, what would my awakened self choose? What would my soul say here? How would I move if I knew I was sacred? And let that knowing shape you. Walk with grace through the chaos. Sing your truth into silence. Bow to the mystery even when it hurts, because even the pain is holy. Even the ache is sacred. It is part of your becoming. One of the most powerful ways to integrate your remembrance is through conscious embodiment. Touch your body as if it is the temple of a god. Feed yourself as if you are nourishing a sacred vessel. Rest as if you are honoring a cosmic rhythm. Move as if every step is a prayer, because it is, and you are. Another practice is the ritual of daily witnessing. At the end of each day, sit in stillness. Close your eyes and replay the moments that moved you, the words you spoke, the emotions you felt. Witness them through the eyes of your awakened self. Offer gratitude, offer forgiveness, offer love. In doing so, you become both the experiencer and the observer, both the flame and the one who tends it. You may feel called to create, through writing, through music, through movement, through service. Let creation flow. Your remembrance will find expression in ways that surprise even you. Do not limit it. Do not label it. Just allow it. You are a conduit now, a channel, a holy instrument for the divine to express itself uniquely through you. And in time, you'll see how even your smallest choices ripple outward. A kind word alters someone's day. A moment of stillness changes the course of a conversation. A smile plants a seed in the heart of a stranger. These are not small things. These are sacred acts. This is how the world changes, not through grand declarations, but through 1,000 soul-anchored moments. The awakened one does not seek attention. They seek alignment. And from that alignment, miracles happen. You are now the holder of all 11 sacred keys. Each one has unlocked a doorway in your soul. And this final key, the key of remembrance, binds them all together. It reminds you that the wisdom has always lived within you, that you are not a seeker, you are a rememberer, a gatherer of your own forgotten parts, a weaver of your own divinity. And so, as you go forward, do not ask for the path to be easy. Ask for it to be true. Ask to remain awake. Ask to be a clear vessel. Ask to live in remembrance. You are the light returned to itself. You are the God within, reawakened. You are the sacred echo of eternity, now made flesh. Let this final truth anchor deep in your soul. You are not becoming. You have remembered. And now, beloved, you live. And now, beloved soul, the sacred circle is complete. You have walked the spiral path of the 11 sacred keys, passed through gateways forgotten by time, and unlocked chambers of your being that long to be remembered. You have not merely listened, you have awakened. And in that awakening, you have re-entered the world, not as who you were, but as who you truly are. You are not just a student of these teachings, you are their living embodiment. Let every breath affirm your divinity. Let every choice reflect your alignment. Let your life become the radiant proof that the God within has been reborn through you. Your journey doesn't end here. This is only the beginning.